Camelot Kings versus the Highland Ravens. The Highland Ravens rushed out of the gate swinging this season, drafted last in the division, but now eyeing for the top spot. And they're about to face their toughest opponent yet. Can they dethrone the Camelot Kings? Tune in and find out.
Not only their toughest opponent yet in the Camelot Kings, but now maybe an angry Camelot Kings after the way the set went yesterday for them, dropping their first set of the year to the Gilded Gladiators. And yes, you're tuning in to find out how this set will break down, but you might also be tuning in to find out the mythical market, the mythical market is back in SMITE. It is a tailor-made market for each individual player, your most played gods and wards and all those sorts of things, all tailor-made in different tiers in the mythical market. So make sure to log in the game, check out what has been tailor-made for you, and maybe pick up some favorite skins for your favorite gods going on right now in SMITE. I also want to mention patch notes. The update show will be this week. However, it will be on Thursday. So make a mental note that the update show happening on Thursday this week. We will have our pro content day. One of the roles will be in. We'll do a whole bunch of fun content interviews, those sorts of things with them. After that, on Thursday, will be the update show. After the update show will be the Dev Insight show where I sit down and chat with them and get all sorts of information. So update show on Thursday this week and Mythical Market in SMITE. Those are your mental notes. That's your task for today. And Miff and I will take it from here talking about the next set that we've got for you. Miff, we're moving into a very anticipated set here. Highland Ravens, Camelot Kings. Kings stumbled a bit yesterday. And so their opponents, the Highland Ravens, may be sensing there's an opportunity to grab a set win for themselves. And it's a Ravens team that I think came in with mixed expectations, but showed us early that they're going to be a very competitive team this year.
Yeah, the expectations mixed in that every single pro in the league said these guys are really good, and everybody else on the planet was like, I don't know. You know, Reddit maybe where the question mark resided. No, not us. We always knew the Highland Ravens had it. I mean, when you look at this team, how could you not believe in them with all the talent behind them and the pedigree immediately that followed? I mean, it has been a great run through the early parts of the phase. This is a team that's hard to lock down. Self-proclaimed early game to early mid-game where they make their money. I'd argue it's that team fight phase where they've really looked good, especially when they have Hurriwind on picks like the Nox, able to lock down individual targets and make that pick style of play really flourish for this team.
Yep.
I have high expectations for the Highland Ravens, not just now, not just coming into Masters, for the whole year. I think this is a team you definitely want to keep your eyes on. But it's not just the new blood. It's not just Hurriwind on support. It's not just Haddix making his jump over the soul lane. I'd argue the backline of the Highland Ravens have really stepped up. BaRRaCCuDDa, having himself a phenomenal year so far, has been diving in aggressively, making things happen, getting active in that backline on what is generally a pick that you would consider a little less active, that Jingwei.
Yep.
You could fool me when BaRRaCCuDDa's piloting it. Ven as well has just had a great year himself. The mage selections have been diverse in his last 6, playing 5 different picks: Morgan Le Fay, Merlin, Thoth, Agni, even the Opwash when given the opportunity. And when you've got that diversified god pool on a team that's already difficult to lock down, it just feels like on any given day, it's going to be a different version of the Highland Ravens. Will they run us down in the early? Will it be objectives? Is it going to be a late game team fight? Is it wait for the fire giant? You never know until you lock in and play against them.
And you're not going to shout out head coach Neilma, Miff?
No, he gets enough praise from literally everybody else. I swear to God, the SMITE Pro Twitter account is a Neilma fan account.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Wouldn't you be as well?
Well, no, because I didn't shout him out. Shouts Neilma as well. Just a brilliant mind for the game.
It was his birthday, I believe, just yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
So an on-air happy birthday to Neilma. Happy belated. And another wonderful year of having Neilma around the SMITE scene. You're right, though. This is a team that I think has been able to leverage some of the new, young, aggressive mindset, and that's allowed BaRRaCCuDDa, Ven, and Hurriwind, who's been around for a while, but again, transitioning to a newer role for him, have got a lot figured out, I think. And it's going to take a lot to beat this Camelot Kings team. I think the Kings, remember, they fell to the Valkyries last year, and that's when they kind of recentered themselves and started to really turn things on. I wonder if that's the Kings we're going to get. We'll talk a bit more about the Kings here in just a moment. Instead of talking about the Kings, we're going to talk to the Ravens, specifically their soul laner Haddix for the pregame.
That's right. I've got Haddix standing here for the pregame. And the first question I have for you, actually doesn't have to do, I guess, with your team directly, and more with what happened yesterday. The Kings had been on a tear. They stumble against the Gladiators. Did you guys get anything from that set? Did they catch you by surprise as well?
Well, I think they may have gotten a little bit silly in the second game.
Just a little goofy.
A little bit silly. You can get some things from those games for sure, but, you know, not too much, to be honest, not too much.
You guys came into this week with the Warriors immediately into the Kings, playing against two of the top teams, at the time undefeated when we were looking at it. What is the mental preparation like for a week like this week? And I guess coming from a loss against the Warriors, how do you then come back for the Kings?
Well, going into this week, we thought that we'd have a better matchup in the Kings, so we're kind of more practicing for Warriors, especially because, you know, they kind of just seem to be our kryptonite right now.
Yeah.
So we kind of mainly looked at Warriors, had a tough set against them, but I think we're going to have a better set against Kings, and I think we don't need to practice as much for them.
And that's the big thing. In the past, you guys have talked about the fact that the Warriors, like, we had mentioned it during the kickoff. We talked about it a few times. We're just like, man, I don't know what it is about those guys. They've got your number dialed in. The Kings play a lot slower, more methodical. You guys have been on a little bit of a tear throughout this phase so far. What kind of things are you playing to the Kings? Are you playing their style? Are you trying to beat them at the macro? Are you bringing something else to the table?
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked this question before, what our play style is. I don't know. I don't think we even know, really.
It's let Hurry hit 4-man Yamoja ults.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to do, I think, pretty well in all stages of the game. So we're pretty diverse. I'd say we play pretty similar to the Kings right now. So today it'll be an interesting set.
Well, hey, I'm excited to watch it. I'm sure everybody at home's excited to watch it as well. So without further ado, thanks for your time, man. Good luck in your games.
Thank you.
We'll kick it back to the desk.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what Haddix saying there, specifically playstyle wise. I think the Ravens and their ability to match up against the Camelot Kings, something that I'm looking forward to here today. Do you draw some parallels in your mind, Miff, between the Ravens, between the Kings?
I mean, similar capacity to play the late game. I think that is a fair comparison to be made. They're willing to take it late. They're willing to play around that 5-on-5 stack. A lot of pressure throughout the early game to establish their leads, if not through kills, generally through minions, generally through sending waves into tower.
Yep.
I would say, though, the Ravens maybe slightly worse in the late game, but certainly more diverse in their playstyle, whereas the Kings generally are locked into that one. Hey, this has been working for us 17 sets in a row, bar one. They stick to it a little bit more.
Hard to nail down now, the Camelot Kings, after what happened yesterday. Maybe not hard to talk about the Camelot Kings, because, Miff, they've given us something new to talk about, and since they finally lost.
They can bleed.
They can. They lost during that kickoff tournament, lose yesterday in their first official sanctioned SPL regular season or tournament match in quite some time. Now, Haddix talks about it in the interview there, Miff. Maybe a bit trolly in Game 2. That gives some momentum over to the Gladiators. I don't want to take that win away from the Gladiators because Game 3, they won handedly. Game 2, they were able to capitalize on some mistakes from the Kings. How worried does a set like yesterday make you for the Kings and their future?
Not at
say
all.
Not.
Yeah. Am I concerned for the Camelot Kings? Are they bad now? No.
That's not what I'm
do I
asking.
think they've gotten worse? No.
Of course not.
Do I think the Gilded Gladiators caught them on a good day for themselves and maybe a bad day for the Camelot Kings? Absolutely. This is still a team that is an absolute top contender and one that is going to continue playing their own style. They've still got some of the best players in the world in each one of their individual roles. For my money, I consider Genetics probably the best Smite player right now, bar none. So often the conversation is who's the best jungler, who's the best support, who's the best this, that, or the other. Genetics is the best at Smite, and I think so long as he continues playing at his pace and the Kings are able to rally around him, they're going to find success, regardless of a stumble here or there.
Now, Variety, I think, would like to turn around his fortunes from yesterday. Had a great game one, 2-1-6 on the tier, then goes 3-7 on Mulan, then 0-5 on Hercules. Variety open to those types of games every once in a while, does not happen often. And so I imagine Variety v Haddix will be a matchup that we keep our eyes closely on throughout the sets here today. I agree with you. There's no alarm bells going on for the Camelot Kings because, again, I drew a parallel a moment ago to Season 9. They lost to the Valhalla Valkyries, a team that was in a very similar position at the time to where the Gilded Gladiators were yesterday. And then the Kings didn't lose another game for like 6 months or something like that. So sometimes And you talk about this in traditional sports. Sometimes the teams that are undefeated, the teams that are going on these win streaks, fans of theirs almost want them to lose a game every once in a while just to kind of like recenter themselves, like finally take a real
Humanize
good,
these guys.
objective look at themselves, say like what went wrong yesterday, we need to take things a bit more seriously. And that's a very real threat that I think that the Highland Ravens are going to have to face today. It's not often that the Camelot Kings lose a set, much less 2 in a row over the course of the weekend. However, I think we zoom out now and we just look at the matchup in general. Very winnable set for the Highland Ravens if the Ravens are able to play their game.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation around this set coming into this week was this is going to be the test for the Camelot Kings, maybe one of the first opportunities we're going to see where they could potentially lose out on a set. And so the Gilded Gladiators obviously shocked the entirety of the scene. So still certainly a difficult match for the Camelot Kings. Maybe there's a conversation to be had about momentum now that they feel like there's a little bit more weight behind this one, which could weigh heavily on their minds. The Highland Ravens, I think, still considered an underdog in this matchup, if not a very heavy one, but still certainly not the favorite. So a little bit less weight on them.
P's and B's for game number 1. Let's talk a bit more about it as we watch how it unfolds. Worth noting, Myth, BigManTingz has not died more than once. Actually, he has died exactly 1 time in 7 straight games. Even in the 2 losses yesterday against the Gilded Gladiators. BMT, difficult to kill, consistent mid laner. And Ven has got his hands full on the other side of things here today. Actually might go further. Let me look at the matchup, Kings against Ferryman. No.
This is an insane streak that I hadn't realized BigManTingz
BigManTingz
averaging
died
1 death.
1 death in 8 straight games. Game 1 against the Styx Ferryman, which would have been
Weeks ago.
4 or 5 sets ago. He died 3 times. Game 2 against the Styx Ferryman died once. And then 7 more games in a row up to yesterday has died once, exactly once in every single game that he's played. So he is not prone to dying very much, therefore is prone to dealing a lot of damage and getting a lot of kills. One of the hardest to kill mid laners, therefore, in the league. The Highland Ravens have got to have an answer to that. And for a while, I thought that Horus was top pick ban in the league just because of 100% pick ban rate. It has actually been Vamana here recently. Pick ban rate just above Horus, and I'll give you the exact number because Gore's sheet is pulled up. 98% pick ban rate for the Vamana to a 96 of the Horus, one of the most sought-after characters in SMITE right now.
Yeah, it feels like Vamana is just the better version of BaRRaCCuDDa, where they're both run it down auto attackers who generally tend to build crit, especially out of the jungle. Vamana just does it safer, has CC immunity for longer, and has the ability to at least CC a bit outside of the ultimate. You know, the knock up from the first ability, the slow from the third, gives them a little bit more team fight utility. So whereas base stance BaRRaCCuDDa, a bit susceptible to quiet games, you're not exactly getting a lot accomplished. Vamana can do a little bit more when his ultimate isn't available. The Highland Ravens, though, with their top 2, get themselves a very scary front line for themselves. Terra and Guan Yu locked in. Guan Yu seems to be that healer that just facilitates all the rest of the healers in the game, where it's, okay, well, yeah, Hell's got to heal, but it's only every 7 seconds, and it's not the most. Guan Yu matches that healing output and also reduces the cooldowns from his allies, meaning that given an opportunity to reset in a team fight, they will full heal with just 5-6 seconds to do so, as well as just having a standard initiation for that cavalry charge. Makes them so versatile in some of these late game engagements.
Starting to zoom a bit here in picks and bans. Both teams have a good idea of what they want to do. Guan Yu plus Terra, double healer mindset has been very popular across the league. Not only the Highland Ravens, but effectively most teams have some type of double healer composition built into to their pick ban strategy. Guan Yu being the spearhead for a lot of them. Difficult front line, though, for the Ravens already to work through. Not only a Hercules for setup, great look for variety. Vamana, one of CaptainTwig's most looked after picks in his recent games. Opens it up to a bit more of a damage build, whereas solo lane, you can still do Vamana things, but doing a little bit less damage. I think Agni plays around this Vamana well. The dash away, is that enough to kind of disengage from some of these fights?
Often it will be, but we've seen the answer to that exact matchup is have someone else force the dash away, blink forward on Vamana, and nobody's going to stop your roll, right? You are just going to continue marching forward. So the job now has a little bit more entropy to it, in that Vamana will be targeting this Agni in the late game, but needs someone else to get things started for him, and I think Hercules, a very good pick for doing exactly that. There is still some flexibility here. Doesn't necessarily need to be Vamana jungle. With Hercules locked in, it does tend to lean itself a little bit more so to that, but Hercules support has been prevalent in the past, could still be the case. That could leave the door open for Vamana out of the solo lane, or even a Hercules jungle, if we're to believe what some of the SEC teams have been doing recently. Still very valuable as well. I like Agni into the matchup outside of that direct, Vamana walks him down style, because he's very good, Agni that is, at applying the anti-heal Divine Ruin, very good at proccing that, keeping the Hercules a little bit more honest in his own initiation. So often we'll see Hercules pop that third ability, have the regrows, and makes him faster, walks up, looks for the pull punch, and then full heals anything that was tossed his way. Agni's very good at preventing that. It can just get the Divine Ruin proc easily, be it tossing out the fumes and just having that do it, or a bomb from a range. So I like what the Highland Ravens have got there. I need to see a little bit more consistent damage built around it.
Kali, that's a direct Scream ban, it feels like. Well, obviously, because Scream would be the one playing it. However, Kali specifically feels like Scream bit more likely to play. I mean, look, the likes of BaRRaCCuDDa still available, scanning picks and bans. Yep.
Mercury
still around.
If it's Scream, you got to talk about Bastet. That's still out there.
Options for Scream. Kali might have seemed particularly threatening to the Camelot Kings. But one jungle has already been locked in. That's the Vamana. Scream leaving his pick to a bit later on in the draft means he's opening himself up to a slightly more narrow god pool, except we've just listed 3 or 4 that we still think
Susano.
this guy can play. All right, make it 5. You want to keep going? No,
that's all right.
No, it's totally fine.
Thanatos.
Fun fact. This is a fun fact. So on this wonderful spreadsheet of data, no, I want all time. I'm gonna have to filter this out somehow. I'll figure it out. There's a time spent dead metric for every single god in the game. And Thanatos has the most time spent dead of any god in SMITE over the history of the game.
More than any other god? Really? It's Thanatos?
Yep.
Huh.
Let me make sure I'm whittling it back down. But last I checked yesterday, that was the case. It was close.
I would have thought it had to have been a support.
Well, think about Thana. He's going in, he's getting a kill, and he's dying over.
I
and
executed
over
him, and then I knocked out for a little bit.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's the mindset. I'm gonna confirm that data. But the last I checked yesterday, that was the case. This year, it's Cullen. In one game played, Cullen has spent 6.5 minutes dead. Mulan, I think, probably because variety right behind it at 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Izanami, a lower pick rate god, but a generally pretty high win rate from what we've seen. But if you're thinking some good options for the Camelot Kings unfolding in their last 2 picks.
Yeah, if that is a Baba Yaga lock-in as well, and it is, this draft from the Camelot Kings just seems so unfun to deal with. You've got a Baba Yaga who could just stack a Prophetic Cloak for free. We saw what Paul was able to do with that pick just a little bit earlier on today. So we'll have a ton of defense available to her without sacrificing too much in damage with that. It's an expensive build, but should be able to stack up pretty easily. Vamana, who likely will build a little bit more squishy. That is one of the weaknesses of Vamana jungle. Now has an Aphrodite affording him additional defense and healing. Hercules, of course, already feels unkillable. And then the Ram for some late game damage behind it, as well as kill secure, can poke out things like Agni or Izanami just by going to the air to start up the fight. This is a very, very difficult team to play into that the Camelot Kings have found for themselves. And on the other side, the Highland Ravens, it's not a weak composition by any means. And they've got pass forward. The Erlang Shen, the primary question mark right now. How much value is that going to get? Back when Erlang Shen was top of the meta, he still was a feast or famine pick. Either body the map or be bodied for the next 30 minutes. But looking at what the Camelot Kings have got, once this gets to the 5-on-5, I just really do love what their composition does. I think the Highland Ravens going to really need this Erlang Shen to get something rolling early.
There's actually a lot of assassins in the time spent dead.
We're playmakers.
All time. It's almost all assassins on the top of the time spent dead chart. It is Thanatos at exactly 4 minutes. Kali 5 seconds behind that. I think I have to talk about this Erlang Shen a bit here, Myth. First time we'll see it this year. Has not been the popular choice for any junglers for a while. It was Erlang Shen on one side, Osiris on the other. Those times are no more.
Simpler days.
Simpler days, I suppose. Why do you think that's the case? With Erlang Shen maybe not being so viable, or maybe other options are just more viable. And what do you think makes it a good pick here for the Highland Ravens? Do you think it's a good pick for the Highland Ravens?
For Erlang Shen himself, the reason we see him a lot less is there's a couple of reasons. One, Erlang Shen was top of the meta for so long, and there was probably 6 patch cycles where he just received nerfs, lost the knock-up on his turtle form, lost some of that HP shielding, maybe some of that healing became a little bit weaker, the first ability got less damage overall, then we saw a large shifting rework where he became more of a boxing style pick that put him in the soul lane more often than not. And then it was the entire itemization change in year 10 that really hurts Erlang. No more are there bruiser items that give you both power and defense. So if you want to get the value of that style of play, you have to go one way or the other with your itemization, delaying it here or there. As for whether or not Erlang Shen is going to work well with this Highland Ravens draft, having a little bit more initiation always feels pretty good. The 9 turns blessing is still a very valuable tool. You've got some decent targets that you can stick to. You've got great boxing potential into a base stance Vamana. Once he goes into Colossal Fury, I don't think there's much that Erlang Shen can do to match up into that. Otherwise, I think there's a reason not everybody's playing Erlang Shen right now. It seems to be a little bit overshadowed by some of the other auto-attacker junglers like BaRRaCCuDDa, like Mercury, like Vamana.
However, Scream, incredibly talented on this pick. Scream has got a history with this pick, and Scream has got the ability to make plays on this pick. You're going to have to make some plays against the Camelot Kings. Is it an angry, calculated Camelot Kings, or are the Ravens going to take game 1? We'll find out.
That is the real question. The Kings, are they starting a revenge tour, Trelly? That's the one that I'm curious about. It's Gore, Trelly, aforementioned, Doug, of course, to help take us through this set. And I'm going to steal some words from Mifflin's mouth here and say that the Kings have a composition. He just said put them back, Gore.
Yeah.
The Kings have a composition that just looks like it's not going to be too fun for the Ravens to deal with.
That is true. And when I look at the Highland Ravens composition, it looks to me outdated. This looks like a comp,
like season 6 maybe.
Yeah, this looks like a couple years ago. This comp would have been effective, but I don't know. The East is still very strong. Terra, and of course the Guan, all these healers, fantastic. I'm zooming in more so on the
it's just the Erlang Shen.
on the elephant in the room. That is the Erlang Shen. Yeah, I'm guessing because auto attack junglers.
Yeah, this just feels outdated. You know, all these other picks, we've been seeing them a little bit this year. You know what? It's just call Scream like old-fashioned.
Yep, that's what he wants. And I guess it's because I've seen a lot of these junglers try and make this pick work once again. They all put so many hours into playing Erlang Shen. I wouldn't be surprised if Gilgamesh comes back in just for a bit because you have so much time on these warrior jungles, and they fall out of fruition. We'll have to see if Scream can make it work. He's going to be up against CaptainTwig on the Vamana, which is, I mean, the highest contested pick in the SPL right now, if we got those stats correct. I mean, it's very strong for a reason. Very safe. He's got that all-in potential. That Wing Shard and Colossal Fury just synergize so well. So we'll have to see what Scream's able to do on a pick like this, who we honestly have not seen in some time. There is one benefit of it, though. You don't need Golden Blade. You can just skip that item because you've got the dog to help you out with your clear, which means Scream can just go right into Kins if he would like to, and that's what usually the build is.
Well, he started that direction. I'm just more concerned with whether or not it's going to get done what it wants to get done. I mean, I can't think of anybody other than maybe Tings and Jarcorrr to taunt in. And, well, yeah, that's 40% of the Kings. It's 2 targets. They are some of the hardest people to get to with the bodies the Kings will put in front of that. So I'm going to keep eyes on Scream. I think everybody should this game. Just to see what it's going to give us. Right now, it looks like it might be giving us
a shield.
A shield buff. I was wondering if it was going to be a gank. Genetics. Getting vision on that. Sees it. Deems it not worthwhile. And it's just going to stay patient, stay a little further back. The Aphrodite as well. I mean, early on, it feels like this is where you could maybe find a lot of pressure over here, right? Rom's clear is okay, but not fantastic, especially in comparison to something like the Izanami. And while Aphrodite maybe helps make up for that, she's also pretty squishy at the very beginning of the game. It feels like if they were going to go for a gank, Duo could have been a very easy spot to try and find something.
Yeah, certainly could. You have to deal with a lot of sustain from genetics on this Afro, and it looks like Scream just wanted some extra farm in that case, but at the very least, you think the Highland Ravens are getting duo pressure, which they are, but BaRRaCCuDDa's health bar, you wouldn't be able to tell, because he doesn't have that level of sustain. Hurriwind's been using that heal, that monolith, just to try and use for roots, but genetics has been stunning it out. Terra, it's really your kryptonite. If you're able to use that kiss effectively and make sure it doesn't get popped, some damage could come through. Remember, a lot of AoE auto attacks from BaRRa come through.
Yeah.
Genetics gets real low, has to pop the horrific emblem just to escape.
Play very carefully. He's been trying to get the birds onto BaRRa, and it's been working mostly well. And there's some of that sustain with the root. Good kiss, maybe even better from genetics. Just to stall out Hurriwind, stop some of the aggression. And what otherwise could have turned into a kill. Genetics still super low on the health bar. But as is in all healing metas, Charlie, it's not permanent.
No.
And we're going to see that health bar fill up rather quickly. Plus, he still has a multi-pot and a health pot. And so I'm not too worried about genetics staying power in lane. And instead, I feel like we can lean back a little bit. Maybe strap in, because it doesn't seem like either of these junglers are going to be getting as hands-on, at least as quickly as I would have assumed. Erlang Shen, for a long time, was like the level 3 guy. He'd show up. That's when he was maybe finding a lot of the strength. And then you start to really kind of pick up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And not to say that he fell off super hard towards the late game, but he was incredible during the early. Seems like Scream's not trying to utilize that part of the kit right now, or maybe it's just because of all the changes. I mean, the desk had highlighted it.
Yeah.
It's just not the same anymore. You can't do that anymore.
I mean, if you have Mannequin Scepter and a knock-up on your third ability,
You're fighting all the time.
Erlang Shen's killing at level 2 on anyone, but unfortunately, you got Eye of the Jungle, Executioner, and you don't have that knock-up anymore. Scream has to play a little safer. I still think Variety is the target, right? You've got Haddix who could pretty easily force out some damage onto Variety, get that ultimate down, and without that, there's no CC immunity. You already have Executioner built. I mean, you should be able to shred through just about everything that Variety has to offer. I'm surprised Scream's on the left side of the map here. Maybe just wanting to pull a relic or just continue camping that shield buff. I imagine that Haddix is going to be trying to force out that ultimate whenever possible, but at the moment, as you said, pretty passive game so far. I mean, just trying to get farm. Notably, Ven recognize that there's not too much CC in his immediate area. Sure, if Variety rotates in and this Hercules comes about, you're going to wish you had beads, but for now, just has the Aegis. You know, you're not going to have to beads too much unless the Baba gets a random silence on the roll of one of her first abilities. Besides that, you just need to watch out from the burst damage from Tings.
Well, you'd called for it. Boulder down for Variety right now, halfway back to its cooldown. And I'm watching Scream very carefully in the jungle. Not only is blue buff about to spawn, he's very carefully avoided all of the wards that Variety has placed on this side of the map. Finds Variety and is going in for the damage. If there's communication, should know that there's no boulder available. Has the taunt, not going to go for it, despite having the Guan Yu with him. There it is, to pull Variety in. And then the stun from Haddix, not enough to actually connect. Variety walking away from this one, gets low. Pin is good. Talu Assault is better. And it gets the kill necessary. Now Twig fighting back, doing so much damage.
Goodness.
He just beats Scream into the ground and makes that one a 1-for-1.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, if you're playing Vamana jungle in your own rank games and you're wondering why you can't do that, it's because of the Wing Shard. You have to make sure you're popping that shard during the Vamana ultimate, or you're never able to chase down Scream there. And unfortunately for Scream, he already used his. He could not use that extra attack and movement speed to try and zoom away. And CaptainTwig gets a return kill in a position that, honestly, he probably shouldn't have been able to. If Scream was able to just run away, he's just fine there. But Variety stalled. He lived just long enough to where he's able to grab that. But your benefit is that Haddix was able to grab the first one. It didn't go to Scream, so at least you aren't shutting down the person with that lead. Haddix should be able to continue winning lane going up against Variety on the Hercules. And because of that, I expect to see some early rotations. If you get a lead like this, BaRRaCCuDDa, I was going to say, you might be in snipe range if Yark was feeling himself, but doesn't go up. Gotta watch out for the amount of poke. You've got cleave autos on the Iza, but Yark can just pop his one, and he also is able to just go through those minions.
That's telling me we're not in the shark territory, right? This is just Jarcorrr.
Yeah.
He's just hanging around. The shark is still maybe waiting a little bit before appearing. That was dangerously close. I mean, probably would have needed all 3 snipes
But Yark hits those.
BaRRaCCuDDa yeah, he hits those.
Yeah.
We'll see. I was wondering if they'd stick around here. Erlang Shen's in the jungle. Genetics does have the prophetic cloak. Stun gonna be off the board, causing a little disruption from Hurry. Twig's over here. Tings is in the jungle. And it seems like, Shelly, it's all this menacing glaring for the shield buff. Confirmed by the Kings. Stun, good from Genetics. Not going to hit the same way, but Twig stayed over here. Twig is looking for the knockup. Twig is able to slow down Hurry. And now he's back onto the tower. He's a big baby, and he's angry. And the snipes ringing true. All three connect onto BaRRa. They aren't going to dive the tower a second time to try and kill him. They kill off Hurry, and they gain pressure in duo.
Yeah, you could tell. Scream wanted to blink in. He called out his Undying Love up. They said, yeah, Genetics has all. There's no way that we're able to keep any sort of aggression on this side of the map, and Twig is able to walk out with his second kill. BaRRa stuck around.
Yeah, that one goes about the way you would expect it. You've got one team on one side with healing, one team on the other, where BaRRa was low and alone. And unfortunately, Jarcorrr caught him sleeping under the tower, finds the shots necessary. I
saw the exhale. BaRRa just goes, he did not think that he was going to be able to get caught out there. Lost the beads, still goes down. Hart gets a second kill. He's 1 assist, so he wasn't able to grab the first one, but at the very least, CaptainTwig is looking real nice here in this game so far for the Camelot Kings. We talked about the lead that was given to the Ravens. It was just on Haddix. I'm thinking if Haddix is not rotating towards this fight, the Ravens don't want to step up. If you don't have that Guan Yu teleporting in or using that cavalry charge, you're going to sit back and just continue farming. This CaptainTwig's up a solid 2 levels over Scream so far. And it seems like they've been mirroring jungle positioning, right? You see Twig over to the left, Scream's there as well, but he doesn't have the same opportunities. He can't go in because Genetics is such a threat. The Undying Love is too annoying. He stuns out the dash?
Tings throws out some of the fire. Tries to burn down Agni. Vin stands his ground, though. And that's the interesting note, right? You had mentioned Haddix, small lead that has been closing, right? Variety now 10. Haddix should be hitting 11 a little sooner than him, but it's not going to be that big of a difference overall. Level and a half in the jungle. Got about level and a half for the duo lane as well. Mid has been the one saving grace where nothing's fallen too far behind on either side. Damage numbers so far kind of matching up, right? You've got the Divine Ruin on both sides. The Spear of Deso on one, and then a Rod of Tahuti early. Heavy investment from Tings. And damage output, I mean, we've seen a lot from the Baba Yagas. We're seeing a lot from CaptainTwig. He's still going for it. Hits hard, has the bladed boomerang, and those crits were there onto Scream. If it weren't for Vin, have to imagine he's chasing that kill down instead. Maybe going to help out the duo lane. Hurry caught out. Hurry's walls. Trying to stun, trying to save. Not finding enough, but the damage isn't quite there. Snipe 1, snipe 2. Doesn't even need the third. Twig walks up. Puts Hurry in the ground.
Twig is just watching up and getting free kills whenever he wants. Goes for the trade versus Scream and Ben in mid. Doesn't like what he sees. Goes over to the left and says, hey, I'm just going to confirm this kill over here. You guys mind? And, of course, Yark gets another assist, so not going to be the end of the world for the duo lane. And Scream can do the only thing he can. Head over to right. The left side of the map is toast for the Highland Ravens. The Camelot Kings, we're going to go for the Fury, but Ven walks up, and they have to respect how much damage this Agni can do over the wall, and they decide to give up. All the while, the Ravens did go for an attempted pull on Pyromancer, but CaptainTwig can do no wrong currently, and he's just walking around seeing what he can find.
Vamana causing a little disruption. Haddix actually going in, goes for the stun. Twig's low, and they're looking for the damage. Good push from Variety. Gets some stuns, helps get Twig out of here. And Fire Giant is dealing some damage, is helping out both sides. The Ravens and the Kings have to back away here, trying to stay alive. One thing Vamana has is that knockup that Scream and specifically Erlang Shen lost, and it feels like that has been super useful throughout these ganks. I mean, part of the reason I think we've seen him is his ease of ganks, and Twig has not been using it lightly. He is disrupting as many as possible. And you have to imagine if that slow does a little more, maybe there's no double dash there from Hurry, he's probably using it again.
Would not doubt it. I want to see looking towards these objectives for sure, as Hurriwind takes even more damage. This Terra cannot step up to Tingz or Genetics for the time being. But, you know, the Gold Fury can go down relatively quick, but I think Ven is still able to do a ton of damage over the wall. That's the reason Pyromancer is in that immediate call here for the Camelot Kings. But BaRRa is unfortunately setting up underneath that tier 2 tower. That's about as far as he can step up safely on the left side of the map without having some more vision down. He's got plenty of wards towards this shield buff, so he knows CaptainTwig is on the shield buff. He's going to make sure he watches his positioning in the meantime. But the Easy can't walk up, which means Gold Fury is free. If BaRRa's not here, who's going to call it out? And it looks like they're going to go for it. Only Hurry can get here in time, but might be too little too late.
He's around the wall. BaRRa's going to join. Like you said, though, too little too late. Ravens do get the Pyromancer, so tradesies. But a trade that favors the Kings. Trelly, 4-1 in terms of kills.
Yep.
Most of the time we see 4-1 kills, maybe 1,000, 2,000 gold. Now we are looking at 3,000 approaching 4,000. And a very comfortable lead for the Kings. And it's just the style of play. I mean, you know, Haddix had said it in the interview. He doesn't know exactly what he would call their style. Feels like they're good at every phase of the game. But the Kings just seem to be insane at the macro play and at the farm game. And so far that has been true. Haddix is getting bullied a little bit. That stun, that push, not going to connect from Variety. But Twig's still here. Twig's got Genetics. They want a little bit more. They're going to force the ult out of Haddix. Scream has to sit under the tower and watch. And what is otherwise a 3v2, soon to be 4v3. Twig trying to back away. Hurry. Matches the rotation from Genetics. The Ravens are just going to pull back.
I wanted to see that 1v1 between BaRRa and Yark, just because the way they've built. BaRRaCCuDDa has the crit, Jarcorrr has the kin size, but you have to watch out if you get too low. If you're BaRRaCC, you don't have that Aegis online, and the snipes could just execute you if Jarcorrr is able to hit them all. But not going to find the 1v1, and it was actually Yark who gave a little bit of respect and decided to retreat. And BaRRa knows that Twig is nearby. Walked over a sentry ward, was able to clear out his ward, but he's got to go back. That Vamana does just too much damage. So the tier 2 tower is where the Iza will sit for now. In the meantime, both objectives go down. Ravens grab Pyro, but of course the Kings were able to grab that Gold Fury in their favor, which just works out better for you in the early. The Runic Bomb sure can be an impact, but you want to get as much gold in your pocket and keep pushing that lead, which is exactly what the Camelot Kings have been doing. The only sad part is we haven't really got to see Tingz or Venenu get active in any of these fights.
Yeah.
They've got top XP per minute. Tingz by a wider margin. But these mages, they've been sort of sitting back. 0-0-0, not a part of any of the kills so far, and they're just looking for their farm.
Player damage, relatively low, although stacking it up for Tingz. There's going to be some bombs as well. Agni jumping quite a few positions right there. Wildfire going to do a little bit of damage to those on the ground. No kills for either squad. A couple of ults dropped on both sides. Twig's lurking in the jungle. So it's Variety, but it doesn't seem like the Kings are feeling confident, at least in their tower dive right now, Charlie. 15 minutes in. And they're mainly aiming for the poke.
So far. And they've got plenty of poke to try and dish out, especially when they have the heal. Genetics has just been making sure to be kissed to BigManTingz. Anytime he goes in for a little bit, he's able to heal it off. Of course, Haddix and Hurriwind have that same level of sustain. It's not like the sustain battle here is one-sided. There's not much to fight over unless you're looking for BaRRa. The blink in from Twig is not able to find anything, but how much can you chase? Not enough. BaRRaCCuDDa is giving you just fine. Doesn't even have to use relics there. So just a great time dash under the wall. And Twig unfortunately wastes the blink.
2 minutes till that's going to be back up. BaRRaCCuDDa shield just locked in there. Bracer of Brilliance picked up for Genetics. Charlie, I thought we were going to be in for a much more, I want to say slow-paced game, right? I thought we were going to hit 25 minutes where it was going to be 3 kills max. Kings have been looking for blood, driving the map forward the way they have. Ravens trying to match it. That 3,000 gold mark I talked about earlier, it's kind of just hovered around there. So plateaued for the Kings with the Fury, the Pyro. Going to be up in just a second. That changes a lot of the conversation. If all of a sudden you're able to get one of these, especially an Oni Fury, pressure on the board, could translate to a lot. Both teams have only lost a tier 1 each, and it's mirrored. It's the left lane tier 1s. Rotation into mid, trying to get some damage. Scream goes forward, goes for a taunt, pulls in a couple, but isn't going to have the follow-up that you would want. No beads used. Just good disengage by the Kings, and Jelly, they're going to heal up, reset, but keep presence on the tower.
Yep, they're still trying to find this tier 1. Plenty of sustain online, and Scream already used the ultimate and the blink, so has to go for a wraparound play if he wants to get aggressive. The Kings, though, they're heading over for the Pyromancer, and they get to spot out Scream in the process. That should go down for relative free, but the Highland Ravens are posturing like they want to go in for the Fury. They don't have the time to do so, because Variety's here just stalling, making sure nothing will come from it. But Variety could be stepping up too far, gets sundered, has to back up, and takes a lot of damage doing so.
Some damage over the wall from Tings. Helps keep Haddix low. I thought they were going to go for a little more here on the Kings, but they're waiting for the minion wave, going for the tier 1, and then just marching at him. Snipes going to come through, all of them connecting from Jarcorrr. The boulder deep, clears minions. Vin low. BaRRa, Haddix, both at half health. Tier 2 getting pressured out. Push is good from Variety, and it gets BaRRaCCuDDa right out of there. Hurry has no mana to work with. Vin too low to stay standing, and even though it was a slow engage, slow walk forward, it's 2 towers and a kill for the Camelot Kings. Retreat back, they're going to get themselves a Fury.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a beautiful siege. I didn't even get to touch on the fact that Hurriwind has been going for this erosion, trying to deal with some of the shielding that CaptainTwig has, because it wasn't really the Vamana that fight. It was a lot of the snipes from Jarcorrr, and of course the throwing damage from the house from BigManTingz that just push out the Highland Ravens. Gotta give credit to Variety, who essentially just dished up BaRRaCCuDDa on a platter for his team. And then both objectives go down for the Camelot Kings. They're pushing this game ever further into their hands. But because they've got good shred, because they've got crit online for Twig, we should be looking at Fire Giant territory here shortly. I imagine you're waiting for Yark to hit level 20. He's going to clear out some of these camps, get a purple buff, maybe push 1 to 2 more waves, and then head back to base and start heading right. Because BaRRaCCuDDa, he's going to be split pushing for a while. This Iza needs the itemization, needs levels. Yark, it seems, is ready to go. He's sitting on a lot of gold already. Should be able to grab at least a tier 2 item and some ward coverage, and then he'll be able to rotate in. And they've got plenty of burst. They've got range for days. I mean, the Highland Ravens do not want to walk up and just face check Fire Giant, considering how much damage the Camelot Kings have.
And that's been a pretty easy burn in a lot of these scenarios. You'd called it, though, back. Coming from Jarcorrr, charge Morning Star is what he's going to leave with for now. And right it is. And right you are. So where the pressure from the Kings is going to be going. 20 minutes into the game, 5-1. Small clapbacks from the Ravens, but a lot of that, and mainly in terms of the kill, was about 15 minutes ago that it really made the big difference. Has not since then made as huge of a splash, and wouldn't you know it, bottom of the damage charts right now, the Erlang Shen not getting too much done. Charlie, I think we might be seeing what was an attempt to bring it back, and then maybe a note on why it wasn't here to begin with.
Yep, I mean, BaRRaCCuDDa's over on left. He's going to show himself soon. He just cleared that wave. The Kings have a go button, but maybe it's for Scream, who gets his beads forced out, and CaptainTwig just gets the beat away. Who gets the kill? Variety. Unfortunate. The silence catches the dash. The knockup is clean, and Scream is gone. The Highland Ravens have to try and find some split push, because this Fire Giant should be done.
Yeah, pretty easily at this point. 3 members, 1 in mid, 2 on left, and then Hurriwind versus the world. Still going to be playing aggressively. Has to use the dash, goes to the monolith, uses the second dash as well, so close gap disappears. And I think that's all she wrote. 21 and a half in. Kings get themselves the Fire Giant. The Ravens forced to fall back. Not able to get too much done. I mean, their split push gets a tier 2 in left, a tier 1 in mid. They're losing a tier 2 in a right. And they might lose a little bit more depending on where the Kings want to go.
So much gold in hand, though. Ven is able to get a massive power spike there. He could finish a starter item, go in towards that rod. He's got plenty of options, deciding on where he wants to go to help him Looks like he wants to go for the Charon's coin there. Oh, he actually baited. He went from Charon's coin into the Ra. That's what I thought he would go in the first place. He needs that extra damage, though. When you're under Phoenix and these tanky targets are running at you, you need to make sure your mages are on point. They can clear out the waves. Unfortunately, BaRRa, again, has been having to stay very far back. And Ben's got that range clear. He can keep the minions out. But when the Camelot Kings say, hey, Yark, you go to the sky, just snipe out some of the carries, get them half health before the siege begins. Tings, you know what, you use home sweet home. You also go into that ultimate, just send out the back line. And then CaptainTwig's able to blink in. It doesn't seem like looking for a fight is even the play. You could just grab Phoenix, get out, and repeat that process 2-3 times, and the base of the Highland Ravens is broken open, maybe permanently. It's very difficult to try and keep all those birds alive, especially with the lead that the Camelot Kings have. They're going to push up left. They've got one more tier 2 to go for. And it looks like the Ravens are just going to find farm elsewhere. They're not going to try and defend a tier 2 unless it turns into a Phoenix siege.
Stepping up pretty easily. People in mid. Phoenix exposed. Haddix is on the map. Vin just now gets his back done, so it's going to be step forward. Twig leading the way. Variety tanking it up. So a little heat check on mid Phoenix. And it gets a response, which is, hey, no, we don't want you taking that just yet. 23 minutes in. Jarcorrr, Genetics take the tier 2 on left. All towers from the Ravens gone. Stripped bare is their side of the map. Few autos being thrown in. Mid Phoenix and left getting aggressed on. And what I like about this, Charlie, is they're playing it so diligently in the sense that you have one team press forward, pull a little pressure away from the other guys, and then the other guys press forward, see what they can do. Home sweet home. Used by Tings, Genetics, Jarcorrr join the battle over here. It's a 5v4. The mid Phoenix goes down, and the health bars are melting on the side of the Ravens. Haddix barely makes it out alive. That boulder not going to be there. The snipes 1, 2. All he needs is a third. Jarcorrr. He hits those every day of the week. 3 shots and a kill onto Haddix.
I didn't even think he had the damage. I thought he was going up just for fun, but he does. He hits those, and now he gets to walk forward, pre-beats, and he's looking to kill Ven.
Right, he gets too low though. Twig as well, forced to retreat. Phoenix left side still standing. Seems like the team maybe confused about whether or not they think they can keep going. Enough damage from the Ravens, they get a second kill. And they save a second bird from falling. The Kings may make it look flashy. They fall back. And Trelly, their chokehold, it only grows. Not only are the towers gone, not only is mid Phoenix gone, but their gold lead extending even further. Primal Fury in their favor. We're going to see them tick up to 7,700 gold in the lead.
They're able to go back, finish up more of those power spikes. It's ridiculous they were even going for the second Phoenix there. That's such an early FG to break the base and go for one Phoenix, but they pull it off because they have good damage. Yark with the snipes puts Haddix down. And then they started to go for the left one. And remember, we talked to Haddix before this game. We had a little interview. And he said the Kings had they had a lead and they got a little silly. I think they dialed it back there. The silliness would have been if they tried to go in for that Phoenix and they died. They did not. They decided, okay, we overstepped. We used some relics.
We used all our silly yesterday.
Yeah, let's back it up. That shows growth. I'm proud of them. They decided, hey, we're going to go in for one more FG, then go in for the Phoenix on the left side of the map. And I think that was the correct play. They didn't quite have enough damage, and the Fire Giant buff, at that point, it had completely fallen off. So, smart call. They're able to group up on left. And I think they can just rinse and repeat, Gore. It doesn't get much easier than that. Go for some poke, use your long-range damage. I mean, whether or not it was Yark or Tings that pushed out the carries, you still get free reign on the Phoenix. And then Yark was able to save his snipes for Haddix. They have another Runic Bomb to go. They've got plenty of time.
Yeah, an easy pickup, as it turns out. The Fire Giant, plus the Pyromancer, plus that Primal Fury Prior. I mean, everything seems to just be falling into the Kings' laps right now. 7-2, only 9 kills, 26 minutes in. But effective kills, and some of them stylish as well. 303 for 2 members of the Kings. Genetics 006. Trelly, I see some big power spikes that are either just on the horizon, if you're looking towards specifically Jarcorr's build, or if you're looking at Tings, my man is swinging with this build. A lot of damage waiting from the Baba Yaga.
Yep, and he is only getting stronger. He's got 3K pots to purchase. He's got a red buff in hand, enhanced Fire Giant. Those sort of things are scary. Ven is a complete item down at the moment besides the tier 1. so can't really match that. But still, as the CC has been able to keep minions out, and has sort of been sitting between Phoenixes here as the Camelot Kings, they start their poke on the left side of the map. They've got plenty of time here, and it looks like just using the ultimate to poke out BaRRa Variety, and a nuisance to the backline of the Highland Ravens.
Gets him, honestly, really low. Takes about a third of BaRRa's HP. Left side Phoenix goes down. Twig maybe bites off more than he can chew. Dies deep in the Phoenix line. I was wondering if the team was going to look for a little extra damage. If he finds a couple hits onto BaRRa, Hart assuredly goes into the air, snipes him down. Instead, 1-for-1 trade. Twig for the left side Phoenix. Mid's about to respawn. So the Kings have a little question to ask themselves. Minute left on their power play. What do they do with it?
What do they do? At the very least, CaptainTwig finishes Spirit Robe, but it's going to help out. I was wondering if he was going to stall until he gets that upgrade and then decides to go in. And I think that the shield shred on the side of the Highland Ravens is starting to add up, right? You've got that Sundering Blast from Haddix. You've got the Erosion from Hurriwind. This Vamana, you'd think had more damage in the backline, but pretty much immediately goes through. The shielding just could not show up quick enough. And because of that, CaptainTwig gets shut down, then gets to get his first kill of the game. He has not been a part of much, but this time around is able to come through. And Haddix is actually pushing up here. How much damage do they have before he gets on the horse is the question.
Well,
Not enough.
yeah, about 1/10 of his HP.
Tings!
Meanwhile, oh no, can't escape. What a great noxious fumes from Venenu. Catches him out, but unfortunately the Agni does not have anywhere safe to go, and BaRRa might just be following that fate. Jarcorrr steps forward with his tanks, and he's finding kills left and right. Has the sustain as well, has the immunity, goes into the sky, snipes. Gonna connect, get some good damage onto Scream. Scream's heal means nothing. And with 3 down on the Ravens, at least the mid Phoenix is gone. They're gonna look for a little more though, Trelly. Get aggressive, get in there, deal with these frontliners. 30 seconds without the Ravens backline, and that's gonna be the game for the Kings. March it into the Titan room and send us to game 2.
I mean, even if the tanks had enough damage to try and defend there, Genetics says, nope, Hurriwind, you're not allowed to dash. Kisses him right before he breaks the monolith, takes away that second reset of the dash, and Haddix is left all on his own. And that takes away so much. You know, Guan Yu, he gets a lot more buffs if he's able to heal his teammates, get some cooldowns down. Nope, he's by himself. 4v2, wasn't looking clean anyways, but it seemed like Tings got caught out. BaRRaCCuDDa, unfortunately, has to just turn and fight in the middle of the green buff. Scream goes in, doesn't quite realize that CaptainTwig is already back from his respawn. And if you don't have 4 eyes looking exactly at the baby when he's in the backline, Vamana can still just stomp away and win you a team fight.
And stomp away he does, right? Several times that game even. It's just Vamana, he's just doing this over and over again and causing too much trouble for the Ravens. Maybe that's something that has to be addressed. We were talking about it. Des was talking about it. Highest pick ban percent right now goes to Vamana after Horus gets ignored for a couple of games. And I think Twig just showed us why. We'll find out, though, if they can get it back and what happens in game number 2. How do the Ravens respond? Well, all of that right after this.
Camelot Kings must have stepped back, regrouped, had some God Slayer last night, and taken a bit more this morning because, goodness, they fired right out of the gates against the Highland Ravens here in game number 1. Good news is, you at home, you can get your hands on not only the God Slayer energy formula from Advanced GG, but also the God Slayer Ice Shaker. And for today only, today's the last day that you can use code SMITE30 for 30% off your purchase with Advanced GG. If you forget today, you can use code SMITE all year long for 10% off your purchase. But SMITE30 is what you want to use today, last day, to be able to use that code for 30% off. Whether it's the God Slayer Energy Formula, the God Slayer Ice Shake, or anything else at Advanced GG, make sure to get over there and make use of that code here today. Thanks again to Advanced GG for being with us here in Season 10. And Myth apparently being with the Camelot Kings in game number 1, because it seems like a total mental reset from yesterday. You lose to the Gladiators, you recenter, and you beat the Ravens in good old-fashioned Camelot Kings variety in game 1.
I mean, that was just a fast game, wasn't it? I really liked what CaptainTwig was able to accomplish, just got it active all the way across the map. And then, you know, we had brought this up in the P's and B's that Erlang Shen not insusceptible to quiet games, and I would argue that that's exactly where Scream finds himself. So when one jungler is putting up 5, 1, and 3, 15,000 damage, the other jungler is putting up 1, 3, 7,000 damage. It's a little bit hard to get things rolling in your lanes from there. Just felt like anywhere CaptainTwig was, where the Camelot Kings decided to play, at least throughout the early portions of this match. And if Twig was there, it was a weighted battle for the Camelot Kings. Yep. Objectives roll through. Jarcorrr has a phenomenal game himself, putting up ridiculous numbers, as well as just landing every single snipe, it felt like. If he went up to the air, you better believe 3 shots were landing. And even when the Highland Ravens was able to fight back in, there was just enough sustain on the Camelot Kings to just make it seem like the damage just would not stick.
Yeah, it was never a wonderful answer for CaptainTwig. In the odd moment that maybe one of the Camelot Kings got caught out later in the game, felt like the rest of the 4 that were still on the map just rallied, fought. We're so far ahead at that point that they could just kind of wipe the Ravens off the map. And that's what tends to happen later in these games where there's a massive gold lead. If the opposing team steps out of their base and get crushed, well, Phoenix's, Titans, quick work from that point on. P's and B's for game number 2. I don't want to lay all that at the feet of Scream. However, Myth, do you think a different jungle pick maybe makes that game look a whole lot different for the Ravens? How much weight do you think that Erlang Shen really carried in the way game 1 went awry?
Well, there's some nuance to it. Erlang Shen can certainly exist and work well. I'm not certain that was a composition that I love facilitating Erlang Shen. You want to get aggressive lanes that can play around him. Maybe had the Aphrodite been on the Highland Ravens side, the Erlang's allowed to stick around in these team fights a little bit longer. So in that composition, I would have liked to have seen something else from Scream, but if he wants to go back towards Erlang, I can see them building a draft, the Highland Ravens that is, that could really make it work a bit better.
And we were giving Neilmas so much credit.
We sure were.
That was all you, too. I didn't even want to bring him up, and you just started talking about Neo out of nowhere for
Love
no
that
reason.
guy.
Such a fan. Such a fan of Neilma. Vamana, yet again.
Oh, Twig is yucking it up, too.
It sure is. 100% pick ban rate for the Vamana.
These
wild.
fools gave it to me again?
48% win rate for Vamana, but I don't think CaptainTwig all that worried about the win rate when his win rate on Vamana is probably pretty solid. You know what? I've got stats in front of me. I can figure that out. It's going to take me a minute because Gore is fluent with this spreadsheet and I'm not, but I'll tell you exactly what that looks like here in just a moment. Talked about changing up your composition, your strategy though, Myth. Aphrodite, Cern. Certainly an adaptation for the Highland Ravens and does maybe open the door to different styles of jungle picks here for Scream.
Yeah, I mean, you could go back to the Erlang Shen, and I think the Ravens have got something that could work around it already. You've got now AoE CC from the Cern, Aphrodite to be that facilitator, give over some of that defense, allow the Erlang Shen to stick in that team fight. That's not to say that the Highland Ravens will be going back towards it, but if they want to, I think certainly possible here. Even a Kali could look good, especially now that I've gone home and done the research. Vital Amplifier pickup for the Kali. Yeah, it works on the Lash lifesteal, apparently. So 3 auto attacks, and you've got 15% more auto attack damage when you've got that pick locked in. So Scream, a bit of a pioneer, figures that one out early. Sends me home with some homework, so I am resenting him a bit for that. Rama and Hercules for the Camelot Kings. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this is the exact same style. Get your late game hyper carry Ram, get you an initiator out of the soul lane, run it back.
Not going to be able to entirely run it back, however. And look, Aphrodite did carry a lot of weight, by your own words there, Myth. So it'll be different from the Camelot Kings in some type of capacity, but we know Genetics can make just about anything work right now over in support. I don't know where he ended up with his A to Z support rank stream. Remember that he was doing preseason for a little while? He's making it work, though, one way or another.
He used to eat 10 bans a game and still look good. It's not that teams don't want to ban out Genetics anymore. They've realized that they can't.
Right. He's going to play something that's going to work anyway. Let's just ban something else. Horus a bit too threatening, though, and maybe the Aphrodite as well. Double healer mindset from the Ravens. This time it's a Guan Yu and Aphrodite instead of a Guan Yu and Terra, like we saw in Game 1. Hell left open to the second wave. Now some Genetics bans may roll in. He won't get Nox. He won't get Yamoja. He won't get Hell. He won't get Horus. He won't get Aphrodite. And Scream won't get the Kali. Didn't in Game 1. Definitely will not now. You're looking at an ultimate from Kali, an ultimate from Aphrodite. That type of pick might have just been way too difficult for the Camelot Kings to play into.
She's the second most dead god in SMITE history.
That is true.
Even though she has death immunity.
You know what? This is good. I already told you for Season 10 it's Kokalan. Kali is up there. Kali is, I don't know, I'm not going to count all these, about 15th on the list. But it's only one game played where Kali went 1-5-3 this year and spent 3.5 minutes dead that game. We won't see the second game for Kali, and we won't see a Terra game for Genetics. So it does end up being another Genetics ban from the Highland Ravens, despite something for BigManTingz lurking over in mid. And I think you can have a very similar conversation about BMT as we just did to Genetics. BMT could very well be worth a handful of bans throughout any of these P&B phases, but maybe Genetics the more threatening option. And actually, the Kings are going to take one more pick away from BMT in the Merlin, sensing Ven maybe going towards that pick with one of his options. Looking like jungle and mid for the Highland Ravens still necessary, whereas the Camelot Kings looking for support and mid. Could be a good opportunity for a pick ban type scenario here for the Ravens to lock in a mage, take something else away from BMT.
I think so, but where do you go? Recently, I was going to say the Janus has been where
you
BMT...
weren't going to say that.
No, of course not. Recently, the Janus has been where BMT has gone. High damage output, generally single target, high mobility, but also high execution.
Have I just been saying it wrong this whole time?
I mean, that's how that guy said it. What does he know?
Yeah. What's his source?
Yeah.
Me. Literally me. I'm Janus.
No, it's Janus.
Well, yeah, that's just much easier and less goofy for me to say, and so I'm going to keep saying it that
Janus
way.
is way more intimidating. If anything, we should be paid consultation fees for fixing his image.
Yeah, he'll get back to you on that, Myth, here eventually. Haven't seen much of it from Ven. Have, however, seen these artillery-style mages, the long-range poke damage. You get a bit of that with the Janus ultimate.
And only the ultimate.
And only the ultimate, right? Still a bit of poke damage, though, throughout the rest of the kit. But I'm looking at the Thoth, the Agni. Ultimate poke damage has been something that Ven has leaned towards. I'm sure the Janus somewhere in the back pocket. How does it synergize with the rest of the draft so far?
Janus has never been a pick that's contingent on your composition. Janus is plug and play, but not plug and play the same way as like Khepri or Thor. When we talk about those picks, it's they facilitate the team very well. They do this, that, or the other. Janus is a solo agent through and through. You can use the ultimate for engage and disengage. Occasionally, you'll see a portal play as well to peel out for an ally, but for the most part, expect Janus to be running around in the back line, walking through walls, tossing out unstable vortexes, giggling, and then fading away into the fog of war. Yep. Rinse, repeat over and over until eventually it's time to fully commit to the fight. So for the most part, you're not really concerned with what you're building around your Janus. You can trust that he's pretty self-sufficient in that back line. Very difficult to dive, as you never exactly know where he's going to be or where he's going, per se. Ymir. That's a lock-in, though, for the Camelot Kings. I was running the gambit of support still available. I don't think Ymir was what I was thinking, but I do really like how it plays into the Highland Ravens already. Guan Yu into Ymir is a classic matchup that Ymir has always really been favored in. You've got the freeze for the Talu Assault. You've got the wall to stop the cavalry charge, and that wall is going to stop a lot more than just cavalry charge. The dash from Cern, Aphrodite at any point. Mercury cannot channel his ultimate in these jungle team fights easily because at any moment a wall can just be spawned in front of him. So adds a lot of entropy to some of those engagements. Even the Janus to a certain extent, if your wall placement is good, Janus cannot deal with the wall. He has to be near an actual structure on map, a natural wall. So if Genetics is on the ball, and he so often is, he could really put the kibosh to the entirety of this Ravens draft.
I have a few stats I'll throw out for you. I don't know how instantly these are updated, but I'm going to assume it's not immediately there. CaptainTwig, 4-0 on the Vamana, maybe 5-0 after last game if it's not immediately updated. So 100% win rate for Twig on the Vamana was a stat that I was trying to look back at. I'm going to look up Ymir. Genetics has not played it yet this year. It's just been Hurriwind and Inbound. Has not won either of those 2 games. Janus has been played by BMT a couple of times. BMT 1-1 on that pick. This will be the first time we see Janus for Ven throughout the year this year. I don't think we've seen a Mercury for... no, we've only seen it for Twig, only seen it for Panatom. Both of those ended up being losses. So a lot of first-time player god combos for this year rolling out in game number 2. Myth, what does this jungle battle look like to you? A Mercury can scale up, love some one-punch style auto attacks late in the game. We know that Vamana also likes to do that, but this time it's the Mercury who's got the Aphrodite behind it. Is that big difference maker in your mind?
If it comes down to jungle 1v1s, you probably do favor the Mercury. They're both going to crit build, but Mercury's got more attack speed and likely will slot in some lifesteal, whereas Vamana gets his survivability from things like BaRRaCCuDDa shield, a little bit of defense stacked up, and the HP shielding of his ultimate. Mercury wins that 1v1 every time, even through the ultimate with lifesteal, with more crit, with more attack speed. Mercury should be able to win out there. And add the Aphrodite into that, and all of a sudden, that's a fight that CaptainTwig's not going to want to take. But that's in the absolute latest portions of the game. That inflection point comes very late into the build, 4th, 5th item. Until then, the Vamana has a much easier time getting involved in lane ganks, has a much easier time playing in these neutral objectives, Gold Fury, Pyromancers, anything pre-20 minutes. You're probably favoring Vamana just because of how much safer he is. So, the Camelot Kings in a game 1 where they dominate so early have got themselves a composition I think can do it again.
Variety has played Hercules now 8 times this year. Every other god he's played just once. Can he improve his win rate? We'll find out in game 2 against the Ravens.
Well, this is going to be the fun one to see, Trell. Ymir. Been a little while since we've gotten to see him in the meta, and admittedly it's been a little while. I think even the last few times he was played, not too hot as far as his performance had been. Get it? Because he's ice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's, I think, a lot of fun that can be had. Genetics, though, almost always a treat on this. And the best thing in this game, Trelly.
Yes.
BaRRa does not have to stress about every Janus ult hitting him because it's on his team.
You know he's still going to flinch, though. Every time.
Yeah, everything. He's going to hear Vin call it out.
He's going to hear it charge up. He's like, Janus ult coming. BaRRa's going to Aegis. He's going to just panic. If you're unfamiliar, BaRRa is really prone to getting hit by those BaRRa ults. Or the Janus ults.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
If anything, maybe he should hug the Kings whenever Vin goes to fire.
Yeah.
Specifically so it hits them.
BaRRa's like, I'm going in. Just send it. It'll hit me no matter what. And he'll be able to guarantee the landing there.
That is one of the only times. So for anyone who doesn't know this, right, there's a combat log in SMITE that's going to tell you literally everything.
Yep.
Damage dealt to minions, when a minion dies, when that damage dealt to a certain god. Even if it doesn't kill him, it's in there. Which, as you imagine, over the course of like a 40-minute, 50-minute game, it's a lot that you have down. And so trying to track every Janus ult that has hit a specific player would take like weeks to try and run through and find that. That being said, I've never wanted a stat more than how many Janus ults BaRRaCCuDDa has been hit by in his pro career. Because it feels uncanny how often it happens. And again, at least he doesn't have to stress too much about it this time, unless Vin really wants to troll him. It should be going pretty wide of where the carry is standing.
I would hope so, especially in the midst of a team fight. You know, you're sending that out.
Either BaRRa's out of position or Vin is messing up.
Yep. And in that case, you got to be watching because I think, unfortunately, the Mercury and the Janus are 2 picks that you lose a lot of value on if you're not landing those ultimates. If you're not hitting Sonic Boom, it's hard for the Merc to be able to engage, and same with the Janus. Unstable Vortex is all well and good, but you really do need those one-shots. You need to be landing through space and time pretty consistently to get the value of this character. So I say fortunately or unfortunately, CaptainTwig though does get picked up. A lot of damage coming his way, and the Unstable connects. Ven, he's gonna get a first blood.
Sometimes you just gotta fire him, and you fire him right there if you're Venenu. Gets the first blood off a beautiful pickup from Scream. Also had some, a really beautiful portal in that, forces dash from Tings. A lot of good things happening for the mid laner there. Unfortunately, some good things happening for the duo lane now. The Ravens having to play a little carefully. BaRRa pretty happy that it's not a level 3 Ymir and that it's still an early game ROM. Otherwise, that was looking like a pretty easy, maybe even appetizing kill.
I thought the dash in was coming, honestly, but you got to remember the Aphrodite's there. Hurriwind's able to keep BaRRa nice and sustained, and Yark recognized that he didn't want to dash in to just get the lovebirds down, a stun to his face, and then BaRRa starts healing up, and that's a smart call. This time around, it's going to be CaptainTwig who rotates over for the shield buff, which usually means that Scream should be heading over towards right, but cooldown buff's not available. The solo laners have already grabbed it, so you don't have too much reason to head over there to look for a gank. It's more so for your back camps, just trying to find as much farm as possible while CaptainTwig was gone. But level 5 is when both of these junglers really do want to get active. Ven should be hitting it relatively soon because of that first blood bounty, and once you get access to that ult as a Janus, or sorry, a Janus, as we're saying
Only
now.
one of his faces says that. The other one says it the right way.
Okay, cool. So I'll stick to just bouncing back and forth then. You can bring the whole team. You can use that to just in time to get active. Left side of the map, right side of the map, and you can usually bring whoever's with you at the time, which is probably going to be Scream, because it's been a mid 2v2 for a bit now.
That's another, you know what, some fun detail fact in SMITE for anyone who either doesn't play a lot of Janus or hasn't played him in a while, but whenever he goes through like the portal, he has that empowered rift under his feet. His head turns around. He's got a second face back there in case you didn't know it. I guess I honestly haven't played this skin a lot. Couldn't tell you how it works on this one.
He's got a little helmet.
He's got a little helmet. Well, he's got a helmet normally. The face does turn around though. It's really cool. And it's just one of those little tiny details. Crash test dummy skins. Feels like asking for trouble though, right? When you're playing that in a pro game. Those guys,
that is fair.
Their like entire job is to get beat up.
But so far, Ven has been staying
use
away
those?
from trouble. What do you mean?
Like crash test dummies?
I would assume
that used to be like every commercial was like, yeah, we put these guys in here, and then you just watch them in like other cars getting smacked.
Yeah, I would assume you still need to test how out the cars crash, and you got to put something in there. You're not going to put people. Unless you like really pay them well.
They've got like a really good insurance policy. Yeah, you're not going to use people. There's an ult, though, from Scream. Doesn't connect the way I think he wanted it to. Gets him into position, though. Lots of damage onto Twig. But it's genetics. It's the shards of ice, and it's the damage between him, Jarcorrr, and Twig that get a double kill. And they're going to go ahead and turn that into 3 total. Looking for a 4th. Vin is low, Tings. Looking for blood. Might be able to find it. Dodges the unstable vortex. One bomb disconnects. Portal dodges the other. And Vin manages to be the last one standing. A real quick 3-man pickup.
I mean, that was ridiculous. CaptainTwig goes down to such low HP during that fight. And you could tell the Highland Ravens, you have to make a decision. When Colossal Fury is coming through, do we kill him? Do we fight? Or do we run away and wait till it comes through? They decide to go for the kill, and I think that was the play. But he just lives on such low margins, and beautiful ultimate there from Genetics. And, of course, Jarcorrr gets to pick up those kills. Now, I was going to say, Variety's got a juke and dash here, and he does. Able to find the beat. Does he have the boulder?
He's just going to turn it on him. Look, Haddix, he dives the tower, but look who's here, Twig. Able to maybe turn something around. The ult not available. Haddix not going to get slowed down. Umbrella Ring.
He had hit the slow, and Haddix like, okay, it missed. I'm good. I'm good. I live here. I'm still baffled that Variety was able to turn that. I was
not
speechless.
only turn that. I mean, because that's so unfortunate for Scream.
I mean, one special delivery misses, that gank is done. But Haddix was able to find the slow. He used Telu Assault to claim the kill. But Variety says, Grand Slam. Turns around, just drops the boulder on his head. And an 0-2 start on the Mercury. Not the best look so far. But hey, he doesn't have crit online yet. And it looks like double ultimate here. Immunes the grab with Genetics. A wall should be able to save him.
A lot of investment. Onto a Ymir, slowly chunking him down. There's the
There
wall,
it is.
and it creates some space, but there's the unstable vortex. One more auto snipes. They're going to be good. No, the third immune to out. Jarcorrr, he still hits those. Oh, but Hurry ripping it away from him in the last minute. Scream lives barely. But a 4-man investment from the Ravens. Charlie, they only get genetics.
I mean, that was, it did not look good, right? You see Scream, he whiffed the dash because it was immune by genetics. Into, he went for an ult, and Ven actually portaled him, so he missed the ult as well. They still had plenty of damage. The wall came through. At the very least, you get one. So I think it could have gone worse.
It could have been none.
If that wall was placed a little bit differently, genetics was able to just walk out there, and no one could really chase him through. But Ven has been making impactful rotations, and I think that's something. Well, I talk about it a lot when I cast these Ravens games. When the Ravens are looking good, it's usually because they've got 2 junglers. Like Ven will rotate out of mid, head over to left, he'll head over to right. Now he's on Janus, and it becomes so much easier, right? You're able to use those portals to go to the left side of the map. And I see a possible gank here. Twig might want to dive this tower, but Haddix has the cavalry charge. He's got to heal, and I don't think it would end up too well diving that tower. So whenever you're able to use that Janus portal to get across the map, Ven's looking real solid.
He's been everywhere he needs to be. Sometimes he's been places he doesn't need to be. Mid camps fought over. One confirmed by Scream. The other one left mourning its brethren because nobody decided to take that one either. So a little experience still left on the map. Twig falls back. A lot of action left side of the map so far. 4 kills to 3. Just a couple good clapbacks from the Ravens as time has gone on. Genetics. Maybe fishing for something a little more. I don't know if they have too much going for him immediately, but Twig's in the jungle. Slows are good. Wall not there. So BaRRaCCuDDa make it back to the line, and Twig has to rethink where he's going.
Yep. The wall, just trying to force out something there. BaRRaCCuDDa holds onto the beads. He was never really worried. Again, he's kissed to an Aphrodite, so Hurriwind could have always just immune if the damage got a little bit dodgy there underneath the tower. But the Highland Ravens in duo have been playing very passive, just trying to back up. BaRRaCCuDDa does get walled off, though. Should have to use something, but it looks like he's got enough damage to get away, and he's got the kiss, but CaptainTwig stopping.
Yeah, just walks it forward. Snipes are so good from Jarcorrr again on this ROM. Gets Hurry low. Hurry channeling the back. And it doesn't look like anyone's planning on stopping him anytime soon. Twig just walks him down. It was a really good wall to start that fight off. And unfortunately for BaRRaCCuDDa, he didn't have the Afro link until the very end. So Hurry, unfortunately, has to watch his carry die. Meanwhile, Ven still doing Venenu things. Not quite able to secure the red buff, but making rotations whenever he can.
Yep, Scream's able to walk in, take it, get portaled out. And I think the Camelot Kings in duo lane is so dominant here. Jarcorrr and Genetics can do no wrong. They're stepping forward. And as you brought up, Hurriwind and BaRRaCCuDDa weren't kissed at that moment. Because of that, BaRRaCCuDDa was like, should I beads? Am I able to get out of here? But CaptainTwig finishes that dive and is able to step forward. So now you can't really go in for farm anymore. I mean, Genetics and Jarcorrr own this side of the map. They can do no wrong unless Scream decides to show up, but he's so far behind build-wise, he still has just a tier 1 hidden dagger. There's no crit chance here for this Mercury, so I don't imagine you're looking to fight much at all if you're the Highland Ravens. The Camelot Kings are in the driver's seat. They can go for a Fury whenever they want. They've got plenty of vision. They got plenty of pressure. They just have to watch out for Ven. If they know through space and time is up, they got to make sure, number one, they're able to burst, or they've got the ward coverage to know exactly where that ultimate's coming through.
Rage just finished for Scream, so maybe he can get hands-on like you were asking for. Stun good, damage good. In mid, Ven forced a portal just to stay away. Jarcorrr alone in a 1v2 under his tier 1 tower. Doesn't seem like he's too stressed about it. Instead, it's Twig leading the way one more time. Big Baby snipes just not good enough from the stomps. Ven is able to get out of there, and Scream's going in. A lot of damage coming from Tings. And Scream tries to get the kill, and then just dies.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I saw the ult. I saw how much damage he was doing. Scream saw how much damage he was doing, and still decided to go. I guess he thought maybe one more lucky crit would have done it, but no. Tings is dishing out plenty. Didn't seem like a good call from the get-go. You got the beads. That was the correct play, right?
Yeah.
Get the beads, get out. Choosing to commit a little bit too much there. BaRRa does not want to get walled here, and he won't. Just Hurriwind should be fine for the time being. But now BigManTingz does have to watch his positioning a bit. Those beads will be down for another 2 minutes. And in mid lane, Scream has a designated target to go for. But so far, this Mercury, there's been some swings and a lot of misses. The Sonic Booms have been connecting, but only able to pull some relics. 0-3 and 3. Unfortunately for Scream, hasn't been able to get the last hits, and that is what you prefer as a jungler. You would like to get that extra gold in pocket, get those items online. Because a little bit of extra damage might have been the difference maker there between Scream dying and actually getting that kill onto BigManTingz.
Double freeze. Immune down by Hurry, but Twig's here. Looks for the knockup. Not going to be able to find it. Goes aggressive, and the slow is enough. Opens up opportunities. BaRRa, nothing he can do about it. Hurry. Oh, he is just barely surviving. Twig has to ult in order to make sure the tower doesn't kill him, but it's a double kill for Jarcorrr. The duo lane gone for the Ravens. A 8-3 kill lead, how about? On Jelly, we've hit that magic number, 3,000 gold for the Kings. This is where they started to run away with it last time.
BigManTingz is going to walk up, possibly get a free kill if he can get the bombs done onto Scream. He won't. Scream saw the ward and was able to back up there. Pyromancer will not go down. But Variety is still chasing through the jungle, and now the Kings are able to make a pickup here onto the Pyromancer. Ben doesn't have ult, so no steal potential from the Janus, and that's going to be just done. I'm surprised the Camelot Kings have not put any pressure over towards left, though. The Gold Fury has not been looked at. They sort of went for a pull once and immediately stopped. CaptainTwig's essentially been living on the left side of the map, but has not decided to commit to the objective just yet. And BaRRaCCuDDa, he could be getting soloed here real easy.
Has to play carefully. Doesn't seem like he's going to. Auto trades in favor of Jarcorrr. Jarcorrr rolls forward. Shots are still finding their target. BaRRa's not even boxing it. It's just Jarcorrr. Finally, he turns around. And I think it's just because he realizes there's nothing else he can do about it. No escaping the shark when there's blood in the water. And Jarcorrr keeps the pressure on, finds the kill. And the Kings are moving towards the Fury. Scream over the wall. Hurry, Haddix, and Venenu all here. Ult, good from Scream. Gets the beads from Jarcorrr. Jarcorrr stays safe. Twig gets aggressive. Twig has that bladed boomerang and is immediately stomping on heads of the Ravens. Has to play carefully, falls back. The Ravens can qualify this one as a success. Whether they get the Fury or not is up to them, but they do stop the Kings. Variety spots out the pull. Sees his team is completely retreated. He's hanging around. Boulder available. And he's going to stick around here. Gets a knock-up, trying to bully a little bit. Boulder out, and the Ravens, they secure that one, but it gets close. Variety, despite being alone, still looking to just play bully.
Yep, he wants to walk up, wants to get aggressive. His team, of course, the obvious play, Gore. They're on Fire Giant, as you would expect, right at 14 minutes for the Camelot Kings. And it looks like uncontested for now because Scream's the only one here. Ben's got no mana. He can't even walk in if he wanted to.
Scream catches it out. Wall's going to be good, keeping people out of their. Scream just gets melted by the Kings. Haddix goes up onto the horse, looking for the backline, goes for the stun, does not find it. Fire Giant's still there. Fire Giant low.
50,
Ravens
15.
walk in and take it away, but can they walk away with their lives? That's going to be the question. Good portal. Vin gets just the right amount of mana, gets themselves out of there, but you lost your jungler, you lost your carry. You still won the FG.
You lose Fire Giant if you're the Camelot Kings. They decide to back up. They leave it. They say, we're not going to 50-50 this. It's a bad call. The Highland Ravens say, hey, look how much we're down by. We don't care about bad calls. We're going to go in. Hurriwind with 84 damage from back off is able to confirm that FG. You're still going to lose some gold, though, because of the deaths. BigManTingz, maybe he's stepping up a little bit too far here. Yeah, Haddix dashes through, back off from Hurriwind. He's going to slow some damage. Not too much, though. Actually, Ven is in the backline here, and Variety is onto this. Is going to be able to stop him is the question. It's the Ravens who are sieging forward. Of course, BaRRaCCuDDa's going to split push. That's the smart call. He needs farm more than anything. He's going to stay AFK over there. But the Ravens have FG. They're able to walk up here. Ven and Hurriwind and Haddix at the very least. They've got the buff.
15 minutes in, 4,000 gold down. 3 with Fire Giant. Not a single tower on the King side of the map has fallen. Ravens got a lot of work to do here.
Yep.
But they do have some of those fantastic equalizers in terms of gold. Left side tower finally goes down, so that's a small opening in favor of the Ravens. Downside is, Trelly, I mean, you had called it 5-0-4 for Jarcorrr. Let's call it 2.5 levels right now. 3, technically.
That's
over.
a big wave, too.
BaRRaCCuDDa gets a nice fat wave. A lot of experience. And this was a 15-minute Fire Giant as well. It's not like this was 25 minutes, 30 minutes in, and they stripped away an enhanced, and they're going to open a lot of opportunities. I don't know if the Ravens are going to be able to get as much done as they maybe need to.
No, they stole it. That was it.
That was the win.
That was the job. Get the Fire Giant away from the Kings, and let BaRRaCC get 2 waves by himself. 4 total levels now. BaRRaCCuDDa has not seen farm in quite some time, whereas Yark was able to push 2 waves and grab his purple buff. Just look at the itemization difference. It's just, sure, it looks like not much, but once Yark finishes that next item, because he's got some gold in hand, it really will start to add up here. BaRRaCCuDDa does need that extra gold, all that he can find for the moment. That Executioner is just not doing enough, and the Pyromancer will drop down. Genetics gets to pick up the Runic Bomb, and I'm thinking it's surprising because Fire Giant is currently in play, the buff is on, but left side of the map, Oni Fury is going to be the next contention point unless we find a fight in mid because of a good pull in by Variety.
Hurry. Taking a lot of shots from Jarcorrr. Portal. Giving us an opportunity. Haddix gets walled off, forced to ult. He goes for the disengage, gets a stun onto Variety. Honestly, shrugs it off. Scream, trying to get some work done on the map. Takes the tier 2 and right. Has a wave with him. He's going to start pushing, but so are the Kings. Tier 2 and mid is their target, and they've got the numbers advantage. Should be relatively easy to knock that one down. Twig takes a lot of poke. Goes up into the ult, uses that CC immunity to just walk right over a portal. And he should be able to get out of here. Vin off the mark with the ultimate in terms of damage.
Here comes Scream.
Scream trying to figure out his angle. Cancels the ult, takes the portal. And it might just be another replay. No, Genetics, good wall. Forces the blink from Scream, and he might get the kill. But this is such a heavy investment. 5 Ravens standing by. Kill Genetics, perfect timing. Oni Fury spawns in. Feels like it's another win.
Yeah, that is going to be another win for the Ravens. Scream is able to find that split push. He's able to blink in and make sure Genetics goes down, as well as the Oni Fury spawning in. But what happens here? Grouping up on the left side of the map. Are the Ravens looking for a tier 2 tower? As Scream is channeling that ultimate. Could be the call. It's only Yark and Tings for now. The rest of the Kings, they're on the right side of the map. The Ravens think better of the play. They decide to back up. They're not going to commit for the tier 2 tower. His Genetics is back on the map, and they know Fire Giant is also back on the map. I don't think the Camelot Kings are in a position where they can just go for the pull immediately. That was very much a, hey, we've got eyes, and we know that they're on the left side of the map. Let's just go for it type of deal. But they still have to respect the mobility of Venenu. They still have to respect how much damage Scream is able to do if he gets some good crits off. And because of that, at the very least, get some ward coverage down, get some sort of map state pressure here for the Ravens. They've been able to stop the bleeding. That's win number 1. And since then, they've won some fights. No one has been able to deal with Jarcorrr, though. And I think that is still the pressing issue. This Rama, 5-0-4, about to finish up that dominance, and a threat to essentially anyone he meets in the jungle.
Fire Giant here and waiting. 19 minutes in. This would be the second rotation of FG. Wards covered so far by the Kings in terms of pit control. Everybody's on this side of the map, except for the Honest, but we talked about that a little bit. Trelly, he can just kind of walk on over there any given moment. Knock up from Variety onto her. He's good, but not going to have the push back. Not going to be able to do much else. Twig, maybe unbeknownst to him in a 1v2, trying to find a way onto Vin. Not going to get the knock up. That creates an interesting shift. Mercury gets a little hit out there. Looks like the Kings, anything they can do to get a pick. Unfortunately for them, the Ravens, they're playing cautiously, and they know to be safe at this point.
It's not easy, right? Because you have to know where Ven is. You got to know that Hurriwind is always going to be an easy target. The Phantom Shell comes through. Remember, last time it was Undying Love. This time it was Phantom Shell. Next time Genetics finds a wall, maybe you're able to find a pick onto Hurriwind. But you have to watch out for the global presence. I mean, Scream is over in left. Ven's clearing mid. All the while, the Camelot Kings can't go for a pull unless they know for a fact that ultimate from Venenu is not coming through. They can try and stagger their confirm, but it's been so much of this. The Camelot Kings walk up, they bait out an ultimate, they bait out a relic, and they get nothing for it. Scream and Ven are pushing forward. They want that mid bird. Variety could teleport in. They got to go for the tier 2 tower first.
Twig is going to reply. Looks like he's going to be a little late. Tower's going to go down. And he's not going to be in a spot to get a kill either. And the pesky nature of a global ultimate from Venenu, like you said, keeping them preoccupied. Stop the Phoenix from going down, but Charlie, a second ago, the Kings were dominating in terms of tower control. Now it's the exact same state, right? Mid Phoenix exposed for both teams, tier 2s on left and right. Fire Giant hasn't been touched because, as you mentioned, all it takes is Vin knowing about it, and he can at least get some damage in there, depending on the distance he's at. Might even insta-give a carry.
Yep, I mean, that's what's annoying, but the Camelot Kings have an out here that they're not going for, and it's very simple. You push the same play they've been doing. They go for the wall, force out something from Hurriwind, force out something from Haddix. Just go for fire, get about 30%, and you just sit there. Through space and time will come. And if there's no ward vision, Ven has to make it. It's a guessing game. And once it does, then you go for your Fire Giant play. But the Camelot Kings, ever calculated, want to make sure they have all the vision down. They want to make sure they've accounted for all the variables. And now Scream's over on left. Ven's clearing mid. The Fire Giant will start up. I expect to see them pause DPS here until that through space and time comes through. They got to know Ven's behind them. And here they go.
Variety. Zoning out some. Vin goes for the ult. Ravens take the FG one more time. They let the Kings do the heavy lifting. And they get the last hit they need. Difference this time, Trelly. All 5 members maintain the buff. For the first time this game, the Ravens have a lead.
So, go remember when I said they were going to pause DPS, wait out through space and time? They did none of those things. They just committed. They had no burst. The play was what? Tingz was going to out-confirm through space and time. That did 1,100 damage. There's not an ability that Tingz has that does 1,100 damage. Unless you drop the bomb, hit a flame wave, and an explosion from Nauseous Fumes all at the same time. And that's asking a lot. It is not easy to pull that combo off, especially when it's trying to confirm an objective. Whereas Ven, he just said, hey, someone walk up, give me vision, I've got the burst. That's as free as it comes. I wanted the Kings to get aggressive, but calculated aggression, and they weren't able to go for it. Now the Ravens are in the lead. They've got Fire Giant on 5. They're able to push up slowly. The only unfortunate part about this is that Ven and Scream have crazy farm. Yeah, they were able to hit level 20. BaRRaCCuDDa does not have that luxury. No. He did not get farmed during all that. He had to stick around, so he's going to get some farm in the meantime, but you're not going to feel confident going in for structures. You go for tier 2 maybe, but Phoenix is not going to be broken with this Fire Giant unless the Kings vastly overcommit or step up way too far.
Well, described by Haddix as playing a little silly yesterday.
Some goofy little silly little guys.
And you know what? Maybe seeing a little bit of that goofs, some of those silly plays right now around the FG, right? All of a sudden, Ravens in control, you had called it, going for the left side Phoenix. That one's going to be taken down easily. BaRRa slowly closing the gap. He's 1-5-1. While the KDA doesn't look too great, he's now only 1 level behind Jarcorrr, which is way better than the 4 we caught him at earlier. Been slow to farm. And I think, like you said, slow to aggress for the Ravens. They take the tier 2 on left. They back, they reset, presumably. Pyromancer's about to come back up. Another option for him. Tier 2 on right. A nice little gold haven for them to scoop up. A lot of options. Despite being down 7 kills, they're up 3,000 gold. And Trelly, the world is their oyster.
It is, and that's why Scream sends an ult down Main Street looking for variety. He's going to do good damage, but not enough to find a kill. I mean, Variety's half health at this point, but he's got good sustain. He should be able to heal back up. But that should show the state of the game that we're in, right? Scream was not finding any ultimates, and now he's feeling so confident. He just ults right up mid lane. No Fire Giant buff to play for. He's just like, hey, maybe I'll kill Variety. You know, I'll try it. Yeah. Why not? This Hercules I can try up and box against. But I do think that the Ravens, you know, on map state-wise, yes, it looks like they're ahead, and they are. But they haven't won a true fight.
No.
This has been, oh, we stole fire, we're able to get things. They haven't stepped up 5v5 and said, we're strong. I mean, one wall from genetics, and they're back to being 4 levels down as far as I'm concerned. They have to show that they can actually use this team comp to go for a 5v5, because the issue with globals is, yeah, you can use them for movement. But if Ven's not landing that ultimate in a team fight against a key target, what is the Janus providing, right? Yeah. The movement's all well and good, but you have to actually get these kills. So we'll see how that translates into an actual Fire Giant fight.
What I want to see, and maybe the map actually at this point might be too wide for this. Go back to Season 7. team with Hurry on it. He was playing the Janus at the time. That was an E-United game. They aggress onto a left Phoenix, get the defense to collapse in on left, ult over all the way to right,
I do
go
love
for the
that
right
play.
Phoenix. That kind of play, something like that, use the Janus portals like you said. Even if you're using it then for mobility, not for the damage, at least then you open up maybe a Phoenix, open a bird, and open the base. But it's confidence right now for the Ravens, right? Surging forward, you got to feel pretty great. 2 objectives that shouldn't have been yours that are yours now. One by a true steal, one just because Vin has better confirmation than the other team. And then the Kings now finally in a little bit of a lapse. Kills, like you said, haven't been going their way just yet. Maybe that's going to change. Variety gets low. Knock up from Twig's going to be good, but Portal maybe a little better. Damage from Venenu. And leading the way is Haddix. Melted! CaptainTwig's health bar just disappears. And there's nothing the Kings can say about it. Stuns. A little bit of damage from Tings as he drops the bombs, but they have to fall back. Play this carefully. Tings goes for the stun, slowed down by Haddix. They're not going to get enough. Grab onto Genetics. Genetics now through a portal. Scream's getting low. Variety unable to get back to kill him off. Freeze is good on the Hurry, but there's going to be the shell. There's going to be the ult. Snipes. Oh, last one finally misses from Jarcorrr. And that's the difference of making this an even 1-for-1 or the Ravens walking away with a kill lead.
Yep, and at that point, it seemed like a pick that didn't need to happen. The Highland Ravens aren't going for this fire giant. They're sitting around the corner waiting to see who walks up. Variety does not. And the fire giant, again, still not up for play just yet. So the Ravens can't just go for the immediate pull. I mean, CaptainTwig runs away. The portal is good. It seemed like if he ulted a second earlier, maybe he was able to zoom out. But I think the Highland Ravens had one linear goal there, and it was get to this Vamana in any way possible. They would have used everything to make sure they put CaptainTwig down. But the Camelot Kings were still able to turn that fight. Even with CaptainTwig down, because of how much was used there, they were still able to return some good damage. And if that snipe from Jarcorrr hits, Scream is definitely going down. So I'm imagining they're able to step up here just fine. Someone has to deal with this Janus, though. No one's been able to get the Janus. Ven has been staying pretty much untouched, 103.
Unscathed even.
Yeah, I would say so, and that's an issue because he does a lot of damage. And
yeah, it's supposed to be the other guys.
Yeah, he's very annoying. CaptainTwig unfortunately can't do it, so I'm thinking maybe you send Tings to get him some good poke or Yark snipes, but again, movement and annoyance is what this Janus provides, and Ven has been in essentially no danger. No one's really able to close that gap and catch up to him.
Scream as well, causing a lot of trouble. Pushes up the waves on left. Finally, a stun connects onto Vin, but there's the issue. He just walks through the wall. He cannot be locked down. Scream maybe trying to channel an ult. Ravens surging forward. Variety has to be careful. No Spectral. These crits are hitting him way harder than you would expect for Hercules to be. He's backing right now. Has teleport available. Does not seem to have the gold in hand to maybe get the upgrade. And yeah, you can see he's going to be waiting quite a while. If Spectral is his upgrade, which at this point I have to imagine it is.
I would hope so, looking at that damage. And because of that, you don't really want to step up. I mean, we may be looking at enhanced fire giant territory if it's the Kings who are going to go for the pull. I can't stress it enough. The Highland Ravens were not ahead, right? They got here by good positioning and steals. Because of that, the Camelot Kings are still the ones that want to aggress. They want to step forward in the jungle. They want to initiate the fights. But you got to have Variety frontlining. And without Spectral Armor, I don't see a world in which he's doing that. You get the beads off of Ven. No one's been looking at the Janus. He's hiding behind a red buff. And if Variety steps up too far in mid lane, Scream's going to pull the trigger on this ult. And they will be able to burst him. We saw what happened last time. He is not tanky enough to walk up to clear that wave. And that's why Scream's just sitting there saying, go ahead. Someone walk up. I want to see you do it. And it might be CaptainTwig.
Haddix stunned out. Wall good. There's Hurry's ult. Once again, that's one in the long list of assets that keep the Ravens alive despite these walls. There's going to be another stun on the Haddix. Next time you see a wall, I have to imagine there's going to be a phantom shell. There, it's popped. Hurry walks through. So that's two in the long list. Haddix's ult has been something that's gotten him away. Otherwise, it feels like we're finally entering the territory. If Genetics can get an ult before Hurry gets his back, or a wall, I should say, before Hurry gets his ult back, we might finally get to see the pick the Kings have been looking for. unless it's a Janus, and then he just walks through a different wall.
They have to keep track of so many different cooldowns at the moment. Like, okay, we got Ven's beads down. Those should be up in about 40 seconds. But Hurriwind did ult. That's going to be coming up even quicker. And the Phantom Shell's down for 90 seconds. But keeping track of all of that has to be so annoying.
Is it too soon for Dingo Dial jokes?
No, I don't think. I think you could go for one.
Because like we know a guy.
Yep. If only. Unfortunately, they don't have access. Because of that, they have to make sure they are going in at opportune times. I still think Fire Giant, get it down to 30%, bait out the Janus ult, and then just confirm could be their best option. It's just you have to worry about even more than just the Janus walking up because of the Highland Ravens have this Afro net. They've got that immunity. They have so much movement speed with the haste and sprint that Hurriwind's built in. There's a lot of variables here, and that's the reason the Camelot Kings have to be calculated about when they pull this.
You had mentioned it. Next Fire Giant you assumed was just going to be enhanced. You said that at 27 minutes, by the way.
Yep.
And lo and behold, 10 seconds away before he gets buffed up. Pyromancer, a lot easier to take down without having to worry about Vin ulting you. So that one goes to the Kings. Runic Bomb now on Twig.
Surely Variety just goes and gets Spectral now. He went, he upgraded Sundering Axe. He didn't, I can't believe he walked up a Scream, got half health and 3 autos and said, I need more damage on the boulder. I'll be back. At this point, I mean, if he hits Ven with the boulder, yeah, I'll see why he did it. That makes a lot of sense. But like I said, no one's been able to close gap.
I don't think anyone's hit Vin with anything in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was the stun on his beads, and his beads are up at the moment. Here's an ult on the CaptainTwig. They get the beads. How much damage do they have?
Well, they have the turnaround. There's the wall! Finally, it hits for Genetics and Variety. Hey, that damage paying off.
Yep.
Right then, right there, they kill off Scream. They still have to worry about Vin's ult.
Bait out the Janus ultimate. That is the call here for the Camelot Kings. Surging forward are the tanks. Maybe you don't have to worry about a steal if you just go in and find kills. But it looks like Ven is doing some good damage to BigManTingz, and he's in the back line.
Beads down for Venenu. Like you said, in the back. Fire Giant's been hovering peacefully at 3/4 HP, and it gets leashed. Kings, they want to pick. They want something.
They have to do something. They can't do nothing.
You got 20 seconds. You got 20 seconds to just do anything. Variety runs away. And it looks like it's going to be a small reset for the Kings. And Charlie, what felt like it was finally the turning moment. It was the opening the Kings have been waiting for. It's nothing. Yeah. They just have nothing to work with. Scream's going to be respawning here in 2 seconds. Maybe a little bit of time before the Mercury can get there, but he's not the fastest god alive for no reason.
I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of weight here on BigManTingz because he is the one that can catch Janus out. He is the one that can just flame wave into the Noxious Fumes, get half his health gone, and then maybe Jarcorrr is able to finish with a snipe, and his beads are down for 2 minutes. That's your target. If you're still worried, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the King said, we're never going to pull this EFG. We are waiting for Genetics to find a wall, and until then, we will sit around EFG. And the Highland Ravens said, hey, we can't win a fight. We're going to split push. Let's just get our globals together, speed up the minions, and go for a mid-Phoenix. Who's going to get there? It looks like just Twig. He's standing there waiting. All the while, there's no pull on EFG. There's no aggressive play, and Variety, if anything, might be caught out.
Yeah, doesn't have that spectral
just
yet. Does get hit with the Unstable Vortex, but stays alive. Massive in the moment. Charlie, problems that are arising. 70 seconds before Vin gets the beats back might be a small opening. Hurry's ult is there. The Phantom Shell is there. A lot of the things that we've been trying to count down, keep track of.
The Ravens
are
are
not
pulling?
there. And the Ravens are going to pull it. They know they have secure. But how confident are they feeling? Vin's actually hanging out over here. Knockup's good wall. Strong does not get the Phantom Shell here, though. Twig does have to use his ult. There's going to be the boulder. Twig takes a lot of poke in the process. And that's been what this fight is. Poke for poke, bounce for bounce. There's going to be the ult, though, from Scream. Goes in and absolutely shreds some health bars, but he's not fast enough. He's not doing enough. And Twig, Tings, they work together. They take down the jungler for the Ravens. It's a surge forward. Vin uses the ult. Twig's low, Tings low still. And a lot they can work with. Stun good from the Agni. The Unstable Vortex is off the mark. The jukes are still good. Tings still moving forward.
Way.
And with the wall, with the help of his team, they shut down this Janus finally, and the team's able to back up, reset, and Trelly, we might just get to see this EFG.
You might. You got the Highland Ravens. They've got plenty of sustain, though. BaRRaCCuDDa is still alive. He's standing forward, and he's got an Aegis to his name. And the Camelot Kings have to go back to base, but BigManTingz had no relics there.
And no rights to live.
No, he had to go for that backstep play, and he hits it flawlessly. Not to mention, CaptainTwig was also 1 HP. That is an insane series of plays there for the Camelot Kings, but they're not going very quick here, Gore. They're taking their sweet time. Ven will be up in 20 seconds. They have to go before Janus is on the map, and Scream is already up. They're burning this Fire Giant quick, and Haddix is here. He's trying to go for the stop.
Scream over in the mid lane. Wall's good. BaRRa walks in. Kings get the EFG, and now with the knock-up, they've got the damage. BaRRa uses the Aegis, but it does not save your life here. Both relics down for the carry. 60 seconds in the penalty box, and the Kings finally have EFG. Friday misses out on that one, but I don't think he's too worried. Trelly, he finally finishes his Spectral. And after what has been a very tumultuous last 20, 15 minutes, whatever you want to cut it at, the Ravens even stripping the lead away for the Kings for a while. They're back in the driver's seat. They've got their hands on the wheel. They're marching down mid.
They certainly are, and this is where the global comp gets a lot worse. It's all great that you can go across the map, but what happens when you're stuck in Titan Room? You got to use these ultimates effectively. Ven is going to be on the left side of the map trying to line up a beautiful ult. He's going to sit back and wait until he can find that damage. Remember, BigManTingz, no relics for 48 seconds. That's a lot of time. And Yark is looking worse. It's another minute before he's able to grab relics. Because of that, how are you able to play this siege? You got to juke out as much as you can. They're going to step forward, and they're going to grab a tier. They're going to get the Phoenix for free.
Get the Phoenix. They're getting a pushback onto Haddix as well. The stuns are good. The damage is there. Twig's low, but now he is beating down Venenu. The health doing too much, but nothing. Unstable Vortex snipes from Jarcorrr. They're making it 1-for-1, and they're making it spicy for us here. Trelly tier 2 still up in left and right. They can't go for another Phoenix just yet, but with EFG, with Jarcorrr still alive and 2 tanks, they're going to start playing the map, working their way into the Phoenix line once more.
Yeah, I'm amazed that Twig chased that down. He was 1-2 from death and walked in anyways, but now the left side bird is starting to get looked at. It's absolutely gone. Beautiful siege attempt there from the Camelot Kings, and that goes well because Genetics walks up, he sees Scream charging the ult, and he says, wall, nope. He ulted right into a wall. Unfortunately, you're not going to get the value there from the Mercury, and if Twig isn't in the jungle, losing that 1v1 between Ven, I think that siege goes flawlessly there from the Camelot King.
There are a lot of satisfying things you can do with a Ymir, right?
Yep.
3-man freeze, 4-man freeze, 5-man freeze, right? Big shards of ice. I think stopping a Mercury ult with your wall is one of the, in SMITE, maybe one of the top 10 feelings. Like,
Yep.
it is to ruin that dude's day
Yep.
with your one ability. Oh, it feels really good, and I'm sure Genetics feeling pretty happy about that. Twig loses his Fire Giant, though. Maybe that slows some things down. Don't know that they're that worried about it. EFG is going to disappear in 30 seconds. They got 2 Phoenixes. And Charlie on the fadeaway, they picked up even more. We were talking about a lot of 4,000 gold leads for him earlier. An absolute divot there for a little while. But now back on track for the Kings and for Kings fans watching. 5,000 gold. But we're about to enter the danger zone because Vin's alive. Vin in 30 seconds is going to have relics up. Vin has ult. Maybe we enter the exact same song and dance. Fire minions might just be enough to change the tune of the EFG. Unless Twig gets picked off. Gonna have to play carefully here. Hurry. BaRRa. Haddix, Scream, Vin. All in mid. And it's a little bit of poke thrown towards the Kings. They're actually pinging.
I'm surprised by this. Number one, the Ravens are even getting aggressive. Number two, that the Camelot Kings are so worried. They've got the relic advantage. I think with Genetics, one good wall could just end a team fight. And it seems like the Ravens are just grouping up mid. They're just pushing his 5. What's the plan here?
Well, it's going to be damage onto Vin. That's the plan for the King. Almost able to get the kills. The snipes. The ult from Vin down now. But he gets the distance away to save his life. Fire minions on left, pushed up at the Phoenix line. What the Ravens were going for, clearing out mid, maybe trying to get something done, unfortunately thwarted. And Charlie, all those worries, I was starting to stress about the next EFG. I don't think the Kings have to worry about it much anymore.
No, I don't know why the Ravens got so aggressive there, unless they were going for the, hey, we're just going to fight them while we have minions pushed up, which is certainly a play. but doesn't work out in Variety. He's going to get Undying Love immediately, and a good wall from Genetics should confirm that EFG for absolute free. Right side of the map is the target. And that should be it for now. The aggressive plays of the Highland Ravens are done. They're just going to clear out minions for the time being and try and see how far out of base they can go until they have to go back. But like I said, Screammmmm, he's got such a hard time trying to find an ult while he's in Titan Room. He's got to be coming from behind, because if not, Genetics is going to wall it off every single moment, and Ven is in the jungle. He has to try and line up a through space in time from across the map and just hope that the setup is there.
Not a lot of defense over here. Look at Screammmmm.
He's got to go from behind. That's the only way he can find an ult.
And he's going to be looking. Has Jarcorrr in sights. Might be able to lock him down. Genetics is right there. Tingz to the left. Screammmmm still holding on. Goes for Jarcorrr. Gets the beads. Immediately, that's going to be the roll up into the sky. Shards of Ice even used just to disengage. And it's going to be BaRRaCCuDDa looking for the fight. And he doesn't want to catch these hands, but he does. The arrows slam hard. And the rest of the team surges forward. The duo lane for the Ravens gone. The boulder getting some extra damage out there to the fountain. Go the 3 surviving members of the Ravens. To the ashes goes the right side Phoenix. Fire minions walking in. Screammmmm gone. Vin trying everything he can, but it's just nothing to do. The Kings and a topsy-turvy game 2 take the win and close out this set.
Yep, they stalled it out as much as they could, the Ravens that is. They used their globals to try and be annoying. They tried to get some extra farm online, but even when they had the lead, the Highland Ravens could not step up. They never were able to get aggressive. Their team composition didn't work in the jungle. The walls from Genetics just got way too much value, to the point where Screammmmm was like, if I'm going to be useful, I have to go the whole way around so no one can see me, and ult from the back line. He was able to force out an ult from Jarcorrr, but still, the snipes, and unfortunately there was no one else to finish that kill. BaRRaCCuDDa just can't win that boxing trade.
Especially when Jarcorr's just standing there, just massive wall in front of Jarcorrr. I mean, Jarcorrr has nothing to worry about. Genetics is the perfect wall in front of him.
Yep.
Make sure that damage does not bounce back. Plays incredibly well. Look, the Kings, there's a big divot. It showed it on the grass in the middle there, but all that matters for them is the first and the last chunk of that game. They win it. They take the series here 2-0, and they look good doing so. But that's enough for myself and Charlie. The desk will tell you more.
Kings are a team that have often talked about how they feel like they can win from any game state, and it feels like the Kings were at every single possible game state at one point here in game number 2. They were ahead, they were behind, they were even, and ultimately end up winning from all of those different game states. If this was always we were wondering if this would be the result of a loss yesterday to the Gilded Gladiators, a recentering, a reinvestment, and maybe just a get back to normal for the Kings, and it sure was against the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the loss yesterday did not affect the Camelot Kings. Even between game 1 and 2, Genetics comes up and he goes, maybe I trolled game 2 a little bit. I said, Genetics, you don't have to.
No, we don't need to.
Well, legitimately, I went up to Biggie and told on him and said, please don't let him troll.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're a tattletale.
What can I say? I love when SMITE's played serious, man. Sue me.
Fair enough. What's the breakdown here, though, from game 2? Because it feels like it was a similar vibe to the early portions of the first game. And maybe around a couple of the objectives is where the Ravens found some comfort, around the Fire Giants. I think there were 2 in a row that the Ravens were able to grab for themselves, completely flips this game around. Maybe there's just confidence for the Kings and their team fight ability stalls out the game and wins it late.
Yeah, so the early game, it's the Camelot Kings who went out pretty heavily in the kill department, finding picks across the map, a couple of good rotations from CaptainTwig again on this Vamana, which I would argue we probably shouldn't see again if anybody wants to beat the Camelot Kings. But it wasn't quite able, not enough of a lead to transition in towards those objectives, and that's where the Ravens made up the difference. They grab a couple objectives throughout the early, a few Gold Furies go their way, a Fire Giant completely equalizes the game state, but in SMITE, you're always barreling down the path to the true 5-on-5 engagement, and once they got there, the Camelot Kings and Genetics in particular really did just put a massive stopper to the Highland Ravens. The casters do a great job highlighting it just at the tail end there, but those walls from the Ymir just made it nearly impossible for the Highland Ravens to get their game plan rolling. How many cavalry charges went face first into an ice wall? How many sonic booms were prevented by an ice wall? How many rotation paths out of the jungle completely stopped by an ice wall? Too many to count, but enough to get a win for the Kings.
Yark near unstoppable on the Rama as well, as now 5-0 on Ram this year. 100% win rate and a 10 KDA on that god. Camelot Kings right back to form, and they 2-0 the Highland Ravens. A lot of it behind their duo lane comprised of Yark and Genetics, and Yark is with Gore for the postgame.
That's right. I've got him standing right here, and unfortunately, we do got to talk about some of the other things that have happened. Not even this set. I want to ask about yesterday, kind of get your thoughts on that loss to the Gladiators, kind of what that did for you guys mentally and what you brought in today.
I think yesterday we had a really good lead on game 2, and then we just literally every single one made a bad decision and we all died and they won. So I think we tried to rush it up, but in game 3 I think we didn't have the best draft, and I think they played better than us in that game, so they won. I think props to them. We use reset mentally. He's used regular season. It's good to take these losses now, that in a tournament. And I think we take it as a learning lesson, and that's all.
I feel like that's the phrase. Almost every time that I've heard the Kings lose, like that's almost always the phrase, like, hey, I'd rather lose now than lose and get second, right? And showcased it by getting a world championship, so probably feels really good there. Coming into this set, game 1, pretty dominant. You guys get ahead. You play well. You win. Game 2, I kind of want to get your mind check. So first Fire Giant gets stolen. Ravens don't do a lot with it, I'm imagining. Doesn't do too much for the Kings. Second Fire Giant gets taken. What's going through the team comms at that moment?
I think that, they have a really annoying comm. They were splitting a lot. So I think that if we ever find a way, I think what Sam just telling us to just keep the comms calm, that we're probably going to find one opportunity. And we did. So I think that's what keeps us on the game. I think we played that game really calm. And even though we're seeing the goal difference big, we just think that if there is a chance we can fight when they want to fight us, then we're probably going to win the game, and that will happen.
And we lose this a lot. Like when we're watching from top down, the tension can kind of get lost, right? We see everybody on the map. But for you guys, that 15 minutes that you're fighting, you can't get aggressive on the Fire Giant. They can't really get aggressive on the Fire Giant. Whoever makes that decision feels like it could be a game-ending decision. What is the moment for the team, for the mental? How do you guys stay focused for those long, drawn-out fights?
I think it's just trusting that what we draft is just better. So at that point, we are just waiting for the right opportunity, and every time something wrong happens, we just start thinking about what we can do differently, so change what happened. So I think we take 2 or 3 decisions that change the pace of the game. So I think that's what make the big difference this time.
Obviously it did, right? A nice 2-0 victory for you guys. Not only that, you get to maintain the first place spot in the order division right now, so have to be feeling really good. Have to be going out to celebrate at this point, right? So congratulations, man, on the 2-0. Thanks for your time. We'll go back to the desk to close this one out.
Heart goes 406 on Ram in game 1, 808 on Ram in game 2. And remember what we were talking about in picks and bans for game 1 with BMTingz, and how going into game 1, 8 straight games where he's died 1 time exactly. Make that 10 because BMT dies once in game 1 of this set and 0 times against the Ravens in game 2. So BMT has now gone 10 straight games, not dying more than once. And on a couple of instances, dying 0 times. The Kings' carries are untouchable, it feels like. The carries only die once combined this entire set. And I think the Kings right back to form, and their fans and themselves feeling just fine for the remainder of our path to Masters. This is our schedule, the 1 set remaining. Oni Warriors up against the Gilded Gladiators to close out our weekend. Now, yesterday the Gladiators beat the Kings in what can only be considered a massive upset, an unlosing team against an unwinning team. And now we kind of lay down a similar gauntlet myth for the Gilded Gladiators, searching for their 2nd win of the year up against another unbeaten team in the Oni Warriors.
I actually talked to the Warriors as well going into this set, and I said, hey, what do you think? What's going on? They were saying, yeah, yesterday we were coming into the set expecting to have a little bit of fun. We're going to mess around a little bit. And then the Gladiators beat the Kings, and we're not going to do that anymore. It's all serious. So I think the Gilded Gladiators maybe double-edged in their victory, have now put a win in their column. Great. Yep. But now have also put a target on their back as a team that you can't take lightly.
And I think for the Oni Warriors, a win here mathematically makes it very difficult for either the Leviathans or the Jade Dragons. The Oni Warriors are 3 wins ahead with 1 less set played, counting the one that they're about to go into. So if the Warriors are able to win this next set, they'll be 4 wins ahead with I think, only 4 sets left to play, so it feels like the Oni Warriors should be locked and loaded for #1 seed. We'll see if the Gilded Gladiators can dethrone another undefeated team, if the Oni Warriors can remain undefeated. Our third and final set of the day coming up next.